Chapter 122. The number 1 prodigies of the Milky Way Prefecture, Beichen Prefecture, Yuanyang Prefecture, Donglin Prefecture, and Great Desolation Prefecture, including Prince Yuani, whose status was not inferior to Yuan Miez, all agreed to dismiss Yi Guchen's sword master title. The number 1 prodigies of the other prefectures did not express their opinions and maintained an indifferent attitude. The tens of thousands of cultivators in the square were somewhat surprised. Could it be that Yi Guchen's sword master title would really disappear today? What a joke! Who gave you the right to dismiss the sword master title? At this moment, on the high platform, an azure-robed young master stood with his hands behind his back. Azure-green sword chi revolved around him. He took a step forward with a mocking smile on his face. It's the outstanding talent of the Sword Sect's Tower Forest, Chu Qingqi. He's actually speaking up for Yi Guchen? I've heard that the Sword Master title seems to have a lot to do with the Sword Sect's Tower Forest. Chu Qingqi naturally can't sit idly by. Following Chu Qingqi's intervention, the entire square was filled with discussions once again. After all, Chu Qingqi's reputation was not weak. He was a prodigy who had been famous for a long time. Although the number 1 prodigies of these prefectures were strong, there was still a slight gap between them and the prodigies of the 7 major factions. Oh, does young Master Chu not agree with Yubing's opinion? However, to everyone's surprise, Xia Yubing did not cower in the slightest when facing Chu Qingqi, who had been famous for a long time. Instead, her beautiful eyes were indifferent and calm. This surprised some cultivators. Could it be that Xia Yubing now had the confidence to be on par with the prodigies of the 7 major factions? Chu Qingqi frowned faintly when he heard Xia Yubing's tone. At this moment, Lu Tianning walked out from the other side and said with a smile, "Miss Xia, don't pay attention to this person. The Sword Master title is somewhat related to the Sword Sect's Tower Forest. It's unavoidable for them to be protective." Lu Tianning's words were not only to suppress Chu Qingqi, but also to create a rift between Xia Yubing and the Sword Sect's Tower Forest. After all, the higher-ups of the Limitless Sword Sect had long wanted to recruit Xia Yubing into the sect after learning that she possessed sword intent. Naturally, Lu Tianning had the intention of roping Xia Yubing in. Xia Yubing raised her jade-like hand and lightly twirled her hair. Her eyelashes drooped as she said, "Since young Master Chu has objections, then Yubing doesn't mind. If he truly appears in the 10 prefectures elite gathering this time, he will naturally be able to bear the title of Sword Master. However, if he doesn't appear in the end, then with Yubing's talent, it isn't impossible for me to take over the title of Sword Master." As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place fell silent. This Xia Yubing actually wanted to substitute the plum tree for the peach tree to replace Yi Guchen's Sword Master title? Many martial artists were secretly shocked. Xia Yubing's reputation had already spread far and wide. If she were to obtain the title of Sword Master, she would probably become the number 1 martial artist among the younger generation of the Saint Origin dynasty. However, there were also many people who felt relieved. The title of Sword Grandmaster belonged to those who were capable. If even Yi Guchen didn't dare to show himself, then the title of Sword Grandmaster would be meaningless. It would be better to pass it on to the next person. Chu Qingqi's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard Xia Yubing's words. "Miss Xia, what a good scheme." "It's not a scheme, it's a fact." Xia Yubing's expression was indifferent. In the shadows, Yi Guchen faintly shook his head. He could be considered to have witnessed Xia Yubing's methods. Yi Guchen was also very curious. If he were to truly reveal his identity, just how marvelous would Xia Yubing's expression be? With Chu Qingqi's intervention, the matter of removing the title of Sword Grandmaster was temporarily put aside. However, everyone knew that if Yi Guchen didn't appear from start to finish, then when the elite gathering came to an end, the Sword Grandmaster title would be replaced. If such a thing were to truly happen, Yi Guchen would undoubtedly fall to the bottom of the valley, while Xia Yubing would become the true main character, gathering a myriad of halos on her body. Alright, everyone. Next up will be the qualification examination for the 10 prefectures elite gathering. There are 10 crystal steels in the center of the Sky Sect Plaza that will automatically measure your cultivation base, the range of your Qi Si, and so on. Therefore, Any cheating or taking pills at the last moment will be useless. At this moment, an old man who was in charge of the qualification examination appeared. As he spoke, a powerful life and death threshold aura rumbled out. The clamorous Sky Sect Plaza instantly quieted down. Yiguchen looked over. At the center of the plaza, there were indeed 10 crystal steels that were approximately 6 meters tall. To the 7 great powers, the higher the aptitude of a disciple, the more value they had in nurturing them. The top-ranked geniuses of the 10 prefectures don't need to participate in the qualification examination and can directly wait for the first examination. At this moment, the old man spoke again. What? Those geniuses don't need to participate in the examination? Is it that unfair? What's unfair about it? That's the privilege of geniuses. We should just obediently participate in the examination. Many cultivators began to discuss, but all of them appeared somewhat helpless. Geniuses were geniuses after all. They weren't on the same level as them and couldn't be mentioned in the same breath. For example, Murong Ditian, Shinta Miao and the others had long been predetermined as disciples. As for Xia Yubing, she had been fought over by many powers and was a highly sought-after treasure. As the saying went, comparisons were odious. Yiguchen didn't mind. If he revealed his true identity as the sword master, he naturally wouldn't need to participate in the examination. But firstly, he had to hide his identity temporarily. Secondly, it was clearly unwise to reveal his full strength at the beginning. I'm going to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. Su Jianshi was brimming with confidence, and her eyes lit up like little stars. Yiguchen was also very curious about Su Jianshi's aptitude. The 10 crystal steels represented the 10 prefectures. Whichever prefecture's cultivators were from, they would line up at the crystal steels. As for those geniuses who had been famous for a long time, they stood indifferently. This was their privilege. In the Sky River Prefecture's line, a cultivator walked to the crystal steels. The invigilator at the side said, "Circulate your true qi with all your might and bombard the crystal steels. Your cultivation, the range of your sea of qi, and so on will be detected." The cultivator nodded and circulated his true qi with all his might. He struck the crystal steels with his palm. The originally dim and lightless crystal steel lit up with a faint glimmer of light. The invigilator at the side was expressionless. He recorded while saying, "Sky River Prefecture, Yen Xiao, 23 years old. Cultivation, 3rd Refinement Realm. Sea of Qi, 20 feet. Aptitude Evaluation, C grade." The cultivator called Yen Zhao's face fell. The aptitudes of the 10 prefectures' elite association were divided into A, B, C, and D. The younger the age, the higher the cultivation, and the larger the sea of qi, the higher the aptitude. Geniuses with a grade aptitude were comparable to those geniuses. They were also the focus of the 7 major forces. Tang Qing, 21 years old. 1st Refinement Realm. Sea of Qi, 10 feet. Grade. Su Qin, 19 years old. 2nd Refinement Realm. Sea of Qi, 30 feet. C grade. As time passed, cultivators from the 10 prefectures also participated in the examination one after another. However, most of them only had C grade aptitudes. After all, geniuses were still in the minority. Although these people could also participate in the next stages, their chances of passing were slim, not to mention being chosen by the 7 major forces. However, in the 10 prefectures, there were close to 100,000 cultivators inside and outside the square. Although most of them were mediocre, there were still a few dark horses waiting to amaze the crowd. Chapter 123. Beichen Prefecture, Heyiming. 20 years old. 7th cycle of Qi refinement. Sea of Qi 90 feet. B grade talent. An invigilator from the Beichen Prefecture exclaimed in surprise. This attracted the attention of many people. Even some from the 7 major factions looked over. B grade talent was already pretty good. One had to know that even a prodigy's Sea of Qi was only 30 feet wide. The youth called Heyiming had a faint smile on his face. It was obvious that he had been waiting for this day for a long time. After that, some dark horses appeared one after another. Among them, There was no lack of cultivators who could squeeze into the ranks of the heavens chosen. However, those who didn't participate, such as Xia Yubing, Murong Ditian, and Qin Aoshi, didn't have any change in expression. These seemingly extraordinary A and B grade prodigies were nothing in their eyes. Finally, it was Yi Guqin and Su Jianshir's turn. As for Shuefu, she could only accompany them and couldn't participate. The first to participate was Yi Guqin. Place your hand on the crystal steel and circulate your qi. The invigilator, who had already tested countless people, was a little impatient. There weren't as many dark horses as the other prefectures. Moreover, Yi Guqin looked too ordinary after changing his appearance. He didn't have the aura of a prodigy, so the invigilator's tone was a little impatient. Yi Guqin smiled faintly. He didn't mind. My golden sea of qi can't be exposed, so, Yi Guqin thought. He reached out and placed his hand on the crystal steel. The crystal steel emitted a cool temperature. Yi Guqin began circulating his qi. Su Jianshir stared at Yi Guqin. Although she knew that Yi Guqin's sword skills were extraordinary, she was still curious about his talent. The crystal steel slowly lit up. The invigilator was too lazy to even look at it. Just as he was about to speak, the crystal steel suddenly shone brightly. A dazzling white divine light was emitted from the crystal steel. The light was so intense that it was as if a huge star had exploded. The entire sky sect square was instantly enveloped in a vast expanse of white light. The invigilator, who was originally disinterested, now had his mouth agape and his eyeballs almost fell to the ground. The change in the Milky Way prefecture's crystal steel naturally attracted everyone's attention. When they saw the divine light shoot up into the sky, everyone was shocked to the extreme. Who could have such a strong reaction? Could it be that a prodigy has mixed in with the ordinary martial artists? Yi Guqin was also slightly taken aback. He seemed to have underestimated the power of the golden true qi. He had only activated the sea of qi within a radius of 30 meters, but the enhancement brought by the golden true qi was beyond his expectations. The invigilator's chest heaved up and down as he took a deep breath. With a tone that could not conceal his shock, he said, Sky River Prefecture, Dugubai. Age 17. Qi refining 7th cycle. Range of Qi C. When the invigilator said this, he seemed to swallow a mouthful of saliva. At this moment, in front of the Milky Way Prefecture's crystal steel, Yi Guqin was the focus of everyone's attention. Big brother, it's that kid. Almost immediately, Qin Batian discovered Yi Guqin. His tiger-like eyes immediately revealed an ominous glint. Qin Aoshi raised his eyebrows and also looked at Yi Guqin. To be honest, Yi Guqin's appearance was too ordinary. If not for the change in the crystal steel, he would definitely not have attracted the attention of others. I want to see how his aptitude is. Qin Aoshi smiled faintly and shook his head. Just as everyone held their breaths and looked at Yi Guqin, the invigilator beside the crystal steel finally calmed down. However, his eyes were still filled with shock as he opened his mouth and said, Range of Qi C, 30 meters, 30 meters. When everyone heard this number, a wisp of astonishment slowly surged onto their faces. One had to know that a prodigy's sea of qi was only 30 meters. As long as it was 30 meters and above, one would be able to enter the prodigy rankings in a prefecture. However, the range of Yi Guqin's sea of qi was 30 meters, which was twice that of a prodigy's. It was no wonder that everyone, including the invigilator, revealed such a shocked expression. There were many dark horses in this year's elite gathering, but Yi Guqin was the first to have a 30-meter sea of qi. The golden sea of qi is indeed extraordinary. Just 30 meters and its energy is comparable to an ordinary 60-meter sea of qi. This was something that Yi Guqin did not expect. He was slightly vexed because he did not want to attract too much attention. However, this also meant that if Yi Guqin had really used his full strength, then what he would have displayed would be a terrifying 60-meter sea of qi. This number would probably change everyone's understanding of the sea of qi. Yi Guqin knew that all of this was given to him by the 9 Tribulations Heart Sutra. Without the 9 Tribulations Heart Sutra, he would not have such a foundation. He actually has a 60-meter sea of qi. The faint smile on Chin Aoshi's face froze. Even his usual calm demeanor had changed a little. This already made him feel a little shocked. However, the little tyrant, Chin Batian, directly rushed to Yiguchen's side. "Brat, you really appeared. The humiliation of losing to you that day, I will take it all back today." Chin Batian's tone was cold. Clearly, that day's experience had left a permanent scar in his heart. What? This Duguobai actually defeated the little tyrant? Chin Batian's appearance and his words once again caused everyone's expression to freeze. This time, even Xia Yubing and the other prodigies looked towards Yiguchen. For some reason, when she saw that ordinary and indifferent face, Xia Yubing frowned slightly. She felt a faint sense of familiarity. Was it a misconception? Xia Yubing was a little doubtful, but she did not dwell on it. "Brat, don't even think about walking out of here unscathed." Chin Batian's eyes were spitting fire. Compared to Su Jianshi, he hated Yiguchen even more. Just when he was about to make a move, the life and death realm old man in charge spoke out. "During the 10 prefectures elite gathering, you are not allowed to cause trouble. You might be a prodigy of the Qin clan, but you must know your limits. If you cause trouble, you will be expelled and removed from the elite gathering." Facing the old man's reprimand, Chin Batian's face alternated between green and white. His gaze was as sharp as a blade as he fiercely glared at Yiguchen. "Brat, it's a small world. There will be plenty of opportunities for us to exchange pointers in the next few stages." Hearing Chin Batian's threatening words, Yiguchen replied indifferently, "No matter what method you use, I'll accompany you." His casual tone and indifferent attitude caused many people to raise their eyebrows. No matter how ordinary Yiguchen's appearance was, he became extraordinary in the eyes of the crowd. The invigilator was in a difficult position. He originally wanted to announce Yiguchen's A-grade aptitude, but he felt that Yiguchen's aptitude had already exceeded a grade. Thus, he could only announce Milky Way Prefecture's Duguobai, Super A-grade, Prodigy Aptitude. The announcement was like a heavy hammer landing on the ground. It was obvious that such a young prodigy would become a dazzling dark horse in the elite gathering. Among the 7 major factions, there were already people preparing to privately recruit Yiguchen. Next, Su Jianshi, the invigilator, shouted. Chapter 124. Su Jianshi had just recovered from the shock of seeing Yiguchen. She patted Yiguchen's shoulder and said, "Your cultivation is not bad. Even I was a little surprised. You're indeed worthy of being the Righteous Alliance's deputy lord. Watch me now." Su Jianshi smiled. She swayed her slender waist and moved her feet. The bells on her ankles emitted a crisp sound. This fresh and beautiful figure caused everyone's eyes to light up. On the other side, Chin Batian crossed his arms and looked at Su Jianshi. Yiguchen had already exceeded his expectations. Su Jianshi's strength wasn't low either. But in Chin Batian's eyes, she was slightly weaker than Yiguchen. Su Jianshi reached out her slender hand and placed it on the crystal tablet. She turned around and looked at Yiguchen. She playfully blinked her eyes and said, "Silly boy, let's see if I'm worth following." Boom. Su Jianshi poured her qi into the crystal tablet. A white divine light that was brighter than Yiguchen's shot into the sky. It was like a white sun that shrouded every corner of the square. The invigilator was dumbfounded. If Yiguchen shocked him before, he didn't know how to describe this feeling now. The light from the Milky Way province's crystal steel attracted everyone's attention once again. The invigilator's chest heaved up and down. He took a few deep breaths to calm himself down, but his voice was still filled with shock. Su Jianshi, 16 years old. 8th Refinement Qi Refinement Realm. Qi Si, the invigilator pursed his lips and said with a hoarse voice, "Qi Si, 300 feet. The moment he said this, the square fell into dead silence. 16 years old, 8 Refinement Realm, 300 feet Qi Si. Every single one of them was enough to shock others, not to mention all of them on a single person. That girl's cultivation is so terrifying. Since when did our Saint Origin dynasty have such a genius? Her talent is comparable to a prefecture's #1 genius or even stronger." Su Jianshi's performance was truly shocking. Go and investigate Su Jianshi's background. After the examination comes to an end, invite that young girl immediately. Regardless of the price, our 9 profound sect will be able to bear it. I originally thought that the most stunning genius was Xia Yubing. But now, it seems that young girl's talent is definitely not inferior to Xia Yubing's. After all, Xia Yubing relied heavily on the inheritance of the North River Sword King to rise up. The charming young girl from the consonant's divine palace pondered. He's a pretty good seedling. Record him together with the Duguwubai from before and focus on him. Even the usually indifferent Chu Qingqi was somewhat moved and gave the order. It could be said that because of Su Jianshi, the 7 great powers all wanted to extend an olive branch. This caused Xia Yubing to frown slightly on the other side. Originally, she wanted to shine brightly in the elite gathering. These puppets are... Some cultivators looked nervous and solemn. These black puppet demons are all in the Divine Soul Realm. The old man spoke. Divine Soul Realm. Many cultivators' faces fell in an instant. If one wasn't a genius or had a powerful trump card, it was almost impossible to fight across realms. Every realm was a different mountain. The reason Yi Guqin could fight across realms was because he had many trump cards. How many people could have these trump cards? Everyone, don't worry. Although these black puppet demons are in the Divine Soul Realm, they can't use Divine Soul attacks. You don't have to worry about soul attacks. Secondly, you don't have to defeat the puppets. You just have to last 15 minutes in the arena and you'll pass the first test. The old man's explanation eased some cultivators' faces. The biggest characteristic of a Divine Soul Realm cultivator was that they had opened their knowledge sea and could use the power of their divine soul. If they didn't have the power of their divine soul, they might have a slight chance of winning. Of course, it was only a slight chance. Even if they didn't use the power of their divine soul, a Divine Soul Realm cultivator could crush a Qi Refinement Realm cultivator in all aspects. The black puppet demons had a tough body and immense strength. Chapter 125. After some preparations, the first round of the 10 prefectures' elite gathering officially began. The geniuses of the various prefectures also had to participate in this round. However, they didn't make any moves because they wanted to be the finale. The cultivators of the 10 prefectures also lined up and walked up to their respective arenas to face off against the dark puppet demon. Xia Yan of the Milky Way Prefecture, step onto the stage, the invigilator shouted. A young man jumped onto the stage. He had AB grade aptitude and a 6th Revolution Qi Refinement Realm cultivation. Among his peers, he was quite outstanding. However, when the dark puppet demon was activated, its fist, which glowed with a dark light, smashed towards Xia Yan like a black meteor. Xia Yan unleashed his true qi and blocked with his arm. The moment the two attacks collided, his expression changed drastically. Soon after, the crowd heard the faint sound of bones cracking. Xia Yan, who had been favored by the crowd, was sent flying out of the stage. This caused the other cultivators of the Milky Way Prefecture to change their expressions. It seemed that they had underestimated the power of the Divine Soul Realm puppet. The same scene played out in the other 9 prefectures' arenas. Cultivators were constantly sent flying out of the stage by the dark puppet demon. Almost 9 out of 10 cultivators were sent flying. The remaining cultivators couldn't even last for a moment before they were defeated. The proud sons of heaven from the various prefectures looked at these warriors with disdainful sneers on their faces. Although some of the cultivators' cultivation realms weren't much weaker than theirs, the difference in their methods and trump cards was like heaven and earth. They weren't on the same level. This was the reason why geniuses were called geniuses. Next, Su Jianshi of the Milky Way Prefecture, the invigilator shouted. His shout attracted everyone's attention. Even the Life and Death Chamber Elder, who was in charge of the competition, looked over. The geniuses of the 7 great factions and the 10 great prefectures also cast their gazes toward Qi Nan. It was no wonder that they placed such importance on Su Jianshi. Her talent was too amazing. Of course, talent was one thing, strength was another. Talent didn't completely represent strength. This was the reason why the 7 great powers weren't in a hurry to recruit Su Jianshi. They wanted to know if Su Jianshi's true combat strength was shocking. Su Jianshi didn't have any stage fright in front of so many gazes. A confident smile appeared on her pretty face. She tapped the ground with the tip of her foot, and her delicate body landed on the stage like a graceful butterfly. The dark puppet demon's aura was as deep as the ocean, but Su Jianshi's aura wasn't weak either. The origin ring on her finger flashed, and the green cicada sword, a divine weapon with green spiritual inscriptions, fell into her hand. The battle began. The black puppet demon charged at Su Jianshi like a black cannonball and punched out. Powerful fist winds tore through the air, emitting a sharp whistling sound. The fluctuations caused the scalps of many Qi refinement stage practitioners to go numb. Su Jianshi gathered all of her true energy and raised her sword to block the incoming fist. However, Su Jianshi didn't go head-on against the puppet. Instead, she borrowed the force of the fist wind and directed it up into the air. Then, she used her sword technique again. Phoenix Spirit Sword Technique, Thousand Feather Heavenly Phoenix. Countless green sword threads converged and turned into an illusory green sword Qi Phoenix. The sword Qi fluctuations caused the eyes of some prodigies to twitch. Not everyone could learn a small success spiritual level sword technique. Boom! The powerful spirit grade sword attack directly slammed into the black puppet demon, causing a few faint cracks to appear on its chest. The puppet's figure was also suddenly pushed back. Its two legs plowed 2 lines of marks on the stage. She actually forced the dark puppet demon back. Many practitioners watched this scene in astonishment. One had to know that not many people could last 15 minutes against the dark puppet demon, but Su Jianshi had forced it back. Such a contrast was truly shocking. As expected of the enlightened sword heart, Yi Guqin praised inwardly. Only sword cultivators knew the superiority of the enlightened sword heart. Su Jianshi possessed the enlightened sword heart, which was why she could use the Phoenix Spirit Sword technique so elegantly and nimbly. It completely restrained the dark puppet demon. Soon, 15 minutes passed. Su Jianshi didn't completely crush the dark puppet demon, but she had at least suppressed it. Of course, this didn't mean that the divine soul realm only had this much strength. First, the dark puppet demon didn't have intelligence and divine soul power, so it couldn't use divine soul attacks. Second, the dark puppet demon only knew how to use big moves and couldn't use any martial arts. However, being able to suppress the dark puppet demon was enough to show Su Jianshi's strength. However, Yi Guqin knew that Su Jianshi hadn't used her full strength. As expected of the biggest dark horse in this elite meeting, many martial artists sighed. Comparisons were odious. Compared to Su Jianshi, they were trash. Many people looked at Yi Guqin with envy. They naturally saw that Su Jianshi and Yi Guqin were partners and subconsciously treated them as a couple. Silly boy, it's up to you now. Su Jianshi jumped off the stage and walked up to Yi Guqin. She patted his shoulder. Yi Guqin smiled and didn't mind. He jumped onto the stage and faced the dark puppet demon. Yi Guqin's appearance attracted another wave of attention because he was the biggest dark horse in this gathering apart from Su Jianshi. Su Jianshi had already displayed extraordinary strength. Yi Guqin's talent was second only to Su Jianshi during the test. Therefore, everyone was very curious about the strength of this domineering Dugubai. Yi Guqin's attitude was indifferent when he felt everyone's gaze on him. His origin ring flashed and the meteor soft sword appeared in his hand. Yi Guqin naturally couldn't take out his signature calamity sword in front of everyone. As for the meteor soft sword, not many people had seen it before. Therefore, he didn't need to be afraid of exposing his identity. Boom! Soon, the dark puppet demon and Yi Guqin clashed. When the two clashed, Yi Guqin felt a huge force coming from the sword. The strength of a divine soul realm cultivator couldn't be compared to a Qi refinement realm cultivator. However, Yi Guqin's body was far stronger than a Qi refinement realm cultivator. However, although Yi Guqin could casually receive the dark puppet demon's attack with his perfect body, it was too eye-catching and would arouse suspicion. Therefore, Yi Guqin deliberately shook his body and took several steps back. It was as if his blood was boiling. In the eyes of others, this scene looked as if Yi Guqin had barely withstood the attack. It seems that Dugubai's strength isn't as bad as his talent. Some cultivators shook their heads when they saw this scene. After all, Su Jianshi had suppressed the dark puppet demon with one strike. Yi Guqin's talent wasn't much weaker than Su Jianshi's. Therefore, everyone expected that Yi Guqin would be able to fight the dark puppet demon without being at a disadvantage. But now, it seemed that Yi Guqin was at a slight disadvantage. Su Jianshi was puzzled. When she sparred with Yi Guqin's strength wasn't limited to this. Chapter 126. Looks like Duguwubai only has talent but no strength. Yeah, it's a pity. He's still lacking compared to Su Jianshi. But it's still okay. Compared to those who were sent flying by the Black Puppet Lord, it's not bad that he could barely hold his own. Although that's the case, his strength doesn't match his talent. On the high platform, the disciples of the 7 major factions were whispering to each other. Only Chu Qingqi from the Sword Sect's Forest of Pagodas watched Yi Guqin fight the Black Puppet Lord with a thoughtful look in his eyes. Duguwubai is coincidentally suppressed by the Black Puppet Lord every time, but he's not defeated. Is there really such a coincidence? Chu Qingqi thought to himself. On the other side, some of the prodigies from the 10 prefectures were secretly relieved after seeing Yi Guqin's battle strength. A dark horse like Su Jianshi had already appeared. If Yi Guqin also displayed extraordinary battle prowess, then the pressure would shift to these prodigies. I was indeed overthinking. Xia Yubing withdrew her gaze. She had a strange feeling about Yi Guqin before, but in her opinion, Duguwubai's battle strength was no threat to her at all. Looks like Duguwubai is only a so. On the other side, Qin Aoshi sighed. In the beginning, Yi Guqin's talent had shocked him, but now he was a little disappointed. Qin Badian looked a little suspicious. Although he thought highly of himself and believed that he wasn't weaker than Yi Guqin, the sword technique that Yi Guqin had displayed was on a completely different level from the sword technique that he had used the other day. Perhaps it's because he displayed his full strength that day. Qin Badian could only think of this. But in reality, Yi Guqin hadn't even displayed half of his strength. This was because if he had used many of his moves, his identity as a sword sect master would have been exposed. In the talent assessment, he had already attracted a lot of attention. If he stunned everyone again in this round, then it would definitely attract some people to investigate his background. That was why Yi Guqin had been hiding his strength, waiting for the moment when he had accumulated enough strength. Boom, boom, boom. The dark puppet demon's fists were ferocious and domineering, with the power to topple mountains. Yi Guqin, on the other hand, was like a willow leaf in the wind. Although he looked like he was about to fall, he maintained a delicate balance. Finally, after 15 minutes, Yi Guqin passed the first stage. However, his complexion was slightly pale, and his forehead was covered in cold sweat. He looked exhausted. This Duguwubai is really lucky. He actually managed to muddle through. But if the first stage is already so difficult, what will he do in the next stages? I don't know, but although his strength isn't as good as expected, it's still better than most people. Many cultivators from the 10 prefectures whispered to each other. Compared to Su Jianshi's brilliance, Yi Guqin's brilliance had dimmed a lot in this round. However, this was what Yi Guqin wanted. I originally wanted to recruit this Duguwubai into my limitless sword sect, but it seems like there's no need. Let's recruit Su Jianshi instead. Lu Tianning looked at Yi Guqin with a disdainful sneer on his face. This Duguwubai isn't up to expectations. Let's not invite him for now. We'll observe his performance in the next stages, said an inner disciple from the 3 imperial palaces. For a time, the few large factions that originally wanted to recruit also suppressed the thoughts in their hearts. Yi Guqin's performance was somewhat below their expectations. This shouldn't be your full strength, right? When Yi Guqin returned to his seat, Su Jianshi glanced at him. The sword is hidden in the case, while the dragon is hidden in the abyss, said Yi Guqin indifferently. Su Jianshi heard some gossip about Yi Guqin and said angrily, I don't understand. But aren't you angry when you hear those cultivators talk about you like that? Why bother? There will naturally be a result in the end. Yi Guqin's eyes were dark and deep. After about 2 days, the 10,000 over-cultivators had all finished the first round of the puppet assessment. What surprised everyone was that out of the 10,000 cultivators from the 10 prefectures, only a little over 1,000 passed the first stage. The 1/10 elimination rate was terrifying. However, this was reasonable. After all, it was a puppet in the divine soul realm. Not everyone could challenge someone of a higher realm. If they didn't have some skills, they would only be eliminated. As for the remaining 1,000 or so martial artists, they were clearly considered experts in the chi refinement realm and had some trump cards up their sleeves. Next is the stage for the prodigies from the 10 prefectures. Many cultivators looked at the prodigies who were in high spirits. Although these martial artists had passed, they had only barely managed to do so. There weren't many who could suppress the black puppet demon like Su Jianshi. The prodigies' battle strength was clearly much higher than the cultivators. Soon, the prodigies made their moves. Many cultivators widened their eyes. They realized that the black puppet demon, which they found difficult to deal with, wasn't too difficult for the prodigies. Of course, some of the prodigies weren't as strong as Su Jianshi. They could only barely contend with the puppet. It's the number 1 prodigy of the Beichen prefecture, Murong Ditan. He's about to make his move. Some cultivators exclaimed. Finally, a number 1 prodigy made his move. Yiguchen also focused his gaze over. With regards to Murong Ditan, he still held him in high regard. Especially the sword that he carried on his back, which had never been unsealed. Boom! The black puppet demon still threw a punch at Murong Ditan, but Murong Ditan was indifferent. He slowly raised his hand, and the sword on his back suddenly soared into the sky. Mountain suppressing sword seal. Murong Ditan roared as his aura erupted. He had reached the 9th revolution of chi refinement. Boom! Vigorous and powerful sword chi pulsed from the sword. Like a mountain, it smashed towards the black puppet demon with a rumble. Bam! There was a shocking explosion as the black puppet demon was blasted off the stage. So strong, after a long while, the spectating martial warriors finally swallowed a mouthful of saliva. The number 1 prodigy lived up to his name. This Murong Ditan is much stronger than before. Yiguchen frowned. Obviously, after the immemorial sword badge and Sidahongshué were taken away, Murong Ditan had received quite a bit of shock. That was why he was cultivating so desperately, and only then did he have his current cultivation. In other words, Murong Ditan had profited from a disaster. However, Yiguchen didn't mind. It was more interesting to have such an opponent. Donglin Prefecture, Qin Aoshi. Another number 1 prodigy stepped onto the stage. It was Qin Aoshi. He was clad in silver armor. His expression was indifferent, and his eyes were filled with disdain. He clasped his hands together and slowly pulled them apart. A dazzling bolt of lightning shot out from his palms and transformed into a silver spear. Lightning Slaughter 9 transformations, explosive lightning strike. Qin Aoshi was like a god of thunder and lightning. His battle posture soared as he struck out with his spear. Thousands of lightning bolts tore through the air and blasted the black puppet demon away. Dead silence. The entire Heavenly Sect Plaza was silent. Is this the strength of the number 1 prodigy in the 10 prefectures? Some of the spectators were stunned. Too strong. He was on a completely different level from them. What's so great about that? Su Jianshi, who was beside Yiguchen, snorted. She felt indignant for Yiguchen. Yiguchen wasn't any weaker than these number 1 prodigies, but he had to suffer from such rumors. Yiguchen's gaze turned serious. Qin Aoshi was indeed not to be underestimated. He was much stronger than his younger brother, Qin Batin. However, Qin Aoshi didn't step off the stage immediately. His lips curled up into a disdainful smile. He slowly raised the lightning spear in his hand and pointed it at Yiguchen. Chapter 127. The tip of the silver spear was pointed at Yiguchen. Many warriors turned their gazes towards Yiguchen in unison. Dugubai, I'm very disappointed in your performance. I don't know how you defeated Bat Ian that day, but you better not meet me in the next stages. Qin Aoshi's tone was arrogant and cold, like a god looking down on a mortal. Yiguchen smiled, finding it amusing. His hands were behind his back, and there was no trace of fear on his ordinary face. He opened his mouth and said, "If you use your spear, I will accompany you to the end." It was a simple sentence, but it caused all the warriors, including the geniuses, to be extremely shocked. After witnessing Chin Aoshi's strength, Suemo was still able to say such words so calmly. Did he really have the strength, or was he just trying to keep up appearances? Many people were leaning towards the latter. After all, the battle between Yiguchen and the black puppet demon wasn't very impressive. If you dare touch him, I'll beat you until your teeth fall out. Su Jianshi puffed up her cheeks and waved her fist threateningly. Facing Su Jianshi, the arrogance on Chin Aoshi's face faded a little. He sneered, "Do you only know how to hide behind a woman? Does the number one Sky Pride only know how to talk?" Yiguchen retorted, "If you have guts." Chin Aoshi's eyes were gloomy as he looked deeply at Yiguchen, then turned and left. "Big brother, wait until the next stage, Black Sky Mountain Range. I'll definitely teach that kid a lesson." Chin Batian coldly glanced at Yiguchen. "Don't worry, there will be plenty of opportunities. I want everyone to know that the reputation of the Chin clan's two princes isn't something that anyone can tarnish." Chin Aoshi's dark eyes flashed with lightning. The entire Heavenly Sex Plaza was filled with discussions. Most people were looking at Yiguchen with gloating eyes. After all, nothing good would come out of offending the Chin clan's two princes. Facing these gazes, Yiguchen ignored them. People's eyes were always on the surface, unable to see deeper things. After which, the geniuses from the various prefectures also made their moves. The majority of the geniuses were able to contend against the black puppet demon, while the number one genius from each prefecture had the strength to force back the puppet. Next, Milky Way Prefecture, Xia Yubing. Following the invigilator's voice, the originally noisy Tianzong Square fell into silence. This peerless genius who had obtained the inheritance of the North River Sword King and comprehended sword intent had attracted the attention of many people. They all wanted to know what level Xia Yubing's true strength had reached. Yiguchen's gaze also landed on Xia Yubing's body. As the saying goes, know yourself and know your enemy, and you will be victorious in 100 battles. Xia Yubing was like a goddess that had descended to the mortal world. She floated down onto the stage, and her long icy blue hair danced in the wind like snowflakes. Her red lips were bright on the outside, her teeth were white on the inside, and her neck was slender and elegant. She was like an ice goddess. That jade face, which had always been proud and indifferent, didn't have the slightest ripple in the face of a divine soul realm puppet. Boom! The black puppet demon still threw out a simple punch, but it contained a terrifying strength. Xia Yubing didn't move in the slightest. She didn't even draw her sword. At this moment, if one were to look at her eyes, they would discover that her originally icy blue eyes had turned a deep blue. Xia Yubing slowly stretched out her arm and extended a slender and white finger. She pointed at the black puppet demon's fist. The scene of Xia Yubing's arm being broken didn't occur as everyone expected. When the black puppet demon's fist came into contact with Xia Yubing's finger, a terrifying cold sword aura spread out from her finger towards the black puppet demon's body. In almost the blink of an eye, a layer of frost grew on the surface of the black puppet demon's body. Its dark body was also gradually covered by a thin layer of deep blue ice. Some cultivators widened their eyes, as if they had seen a ghost. There was no intense attack, no heaven-shaking collision. Just a simple finger was enough to seal the black puppet demon in ice. Such a method was beyond everyone's expectations. This sword intent. In the crowd below the stage, Yiguchen's gaze was solemn. He could sense that Xia Yubing's sword intent, if he wasn't mistaken, was the sword intent of ice. The sword intent of ice could only be considered as an ordinary sword intent. But what shocked Yiguchen wasn't the grade of the sword intent of ice, but Xia Yubing's comprehension of it. She had already reached an extremely profound level. At this level, she was already able to transform her sword intent into various methods. For example, she had directly sealed a divine soul realm puppet in ice. Of course, this was because the puppet didn't have any intelligence and was unable to think or resist. But this was enough to prove Xia Yubing's strength. Xia Yubing's cultivation was even more troublesome than Yiguchen had imagined. But there wasn't a trace of fear in Yiguchen's eyes. Instead, There was a trace of battle intent hidden within them. Only such a Xia Yubing was worthy of him taking action. His methods are simply too terrifying. I never imagined that this girl from the Xia clan would know how to hide her strength so well. She hadn't revealed her cultivation before, but now it seems that her true strength isn't any weaker than Yuan Mie, Shinta Miao and the other heaven prides. Someone from the 7 great factions sighed in admiration. Yuan Mie and Shinta Miao were the 2nd and 3rd ranked heaven prides on the heaven prides ranking. Being able to compare to them was enough to prove that Xia Yubing's strength was truly acknowledged. It seems that Xia Yubing's claim of taking over the title of Sword Master is not something unacceptable. That's right, the title of Sword Master belongs to the capable. Xia Yubing has grasped the sword intent, and her strength is so terrifying. She's likely far above that Yiguchen. Following Xia Yubing's display of strength, the entire Heavenly Sect Plaza was once again filled with clamorous discussions. Listening to the discussions that were practically all biased towards her, the corners of Xia Yubing's mouth curved into an extremely faint smile. She had hidden her schemes and was rather shrewd. Passing the first round with such a powerful method was naturally to build momentum for herself. If Yi Guchen still didn't appear at the end of the 10 prefectures elite gathering, then Xia Yubing would naturally be able to take over the title of Sword Master. At that time, she would become the most dazzling heaven's pride in the Saint Origin dynasty. Yi Guchen, I will personally destroy everything you've obtained. If you don't appear, you will never be able to rise again. Xia Yubing thought to herself. With the last heaven pride participating in the arena battle, the first round of the 10 prefectures elite gathering had finally come to an end. Over 1,000 cultivators stood out from the crowd. As for the heavens prides who had been famous for a long time, only a very small portion of them failed due to various reasons. The majority of them passed the first round unscathed. There were even existences like Xia Yubing and Qin Aoshi who had suppressed or defeated the puppets. Of course, apart from Su Jianshi, only the number 1 heavens prides of each prefecture could accomplish such a feat. Chapter 128. The 10 prefectures elite meeting had 4 checkpoints. The second checkpoint wasn't located in the Heavenly Sects Plaza, but in the Black Sky Mountain Range outside the Saint Origin Mansion. The Black Sky Mountain Range was a dangerous place in the Saint Origin dynasty with many demonic beasts wreaking havoc there. The 7 major forces, including the Saint Origin dynasty, had a group of experts stationed outside the Black Sky Mountain Range all year round to prevent the appearance of powerful demonic beasts. Compared to the danger level of the Black Sky Mountain Range, the Cloud Valley Mountain Range that Yi Guchen had previously experienced was nothing. There was no lack of rank 3 demonic beasts in the Black Sky Mountain Range, and even rank 4 demonic beasts could be seen. If the first checkpoint was a basic test of the cultivator's strength, then the second checkpoint was a true test of actual combat. 3 days later, the second checkpoint officially began. Yi Guchen left Xuan at an inn in the Heavenly Sect City before heading to the Black Sky Mountain Range with Su Jianshi. In these 3 days, people from the 7 major forces continuously sent invitations to Su Jianshi, hoping to pull her into their sections. There were also some superfamilies that extended an olive branch to Su Jianshi. Of course, there was also Yi Guchen. Although his performance in the first checkpoint wasn't satisfactory, his talent was still there. Therefore, some superfamilies also extended an invitation to him. Yi Guchen naturally ignored these invitations. His bottom line was at least the 7 major forces. It was impossible for him to join a lower superfamily. But to Yi Guchen's surprise, Su Jianshi didn't choose to join any of the major forces. When Yi Guchen asked, Su Jianshi blushed and explained, "I'm just protecting you. I'm afraid that you'll be bullied by others. Only by following me will you have a future." Moreover, Su Jianshi was still planning her righteous alliance. She would be the alliance master and Yi Guchen would be the vice alliance master. Yi Guchen could only shake his head helplessly in the face of such an innocent and adorable girl. The Black Sky Mountain Range was located outside the Saint Origin dynasty. When Yi Guchen and Su Jianshi arrived, the mountain range was already crowded with people. Although the vast majority of martial artists had already been eliminated in the first round, they could still come and watch the competition. Outside the mountain range, 7 high platforms were built. On the high platforms sat the people from the 7 major forces. However, after the first round, other than the inner sect disciples, there were also a few elders among the people from the 7 major factions. It was obvious that in this round, some geniuses would reveal their true abilities. Some hidden dark horses would also unleash their true strength. Therefore, in the second stage, the elders of the various major forces had arrived and began to seriously select some talents. On the high platform that belonged to the Sword Sect's forest of pagodas, a green-robed old man glanced at Chu Qingqi and said, "Where's that legendary Sword Sect Yiguchen?" Elder Qinghe? Even Chu Qingqi, who had always been indifferent, looked slightly embarrassed. He didn't come? Could it be that he's afraid of that girl who possesses sword intent? Elder Qinghe questioned. No, absolutely not. I've seen Yiguchen before. With his temperament, he's definitely not a coward. I'm afraid there's something he's hiding. However, he definitely won't miss this event, Chu Qingqi said solemnly. That better be the case because that person has already decided to come and watch the competition in the 4th stage. Elder Qinghe said in a deep voice. His tone was very serious when he spoke of that person. What? That person? Isn't he always in seclusion in the Sword Sect Pagoda? He's actually coming to watch the 10 prefectures elite gathering this time? Chu Qingqi's expression changed slightly. Chu Qingqi was still able to talk and joke with Elder Qinghe calmly, but Elder Qinghe was different. However, when he faced that person, he would be so nervous that he couldn't say a word. It was because that person was a legend of the Sword Sect Pagoda. I remember that the last time that person came out of seclusion was because of the abnormal tremors in the endless plains. I heard that a mysterious sword token had appeared, Chu Qingqi said with a frown. At the same time, he complained inwardly. If Yiguchen doesn't show up, you know what will happen? Elder Qinghe said meaningfully. Yiguchen, if you don't show up this time, I'll be in trouble. Chu Qingqi's expression was calm, but he felt as if 10,000 divine beasts were galloping through his heart. It wasn't just Elder Qinghe of the Sword Sect Pagoda. Elder-level figures of the other 6 factions also appeared. Everyone's silence. I'll now announce the rules of the second stage of the elite gathering. The life and death chamber old man appeared again. First, in the Black Sky Mountain range, the assessment is based on beast cores. First and second stage beast cores don't count. Third stage beast cores count for 10 points, 4th stage beast cores count for 50 points. As for 5th stage beast cores, although I don't expect you to obtain them, if you do, you'll get 200 points. Hearing the old man's words, many warriors rolled their eyes. Some of the powerful 4th-rank demonic beasts were already comparable to Divine Soul Realm experts. If it was a 5th-rank demonic beast, it would be ranked at the top even among Divine Soul Realm experts. It was almost equivalent to life and death chamber experts. How could it be killed by them? Second, in the Black Sky Mountain range, you're not restricted from attacking. In other words, you can choose not to kill beasts, but to attack other people and seize their beast cores. The old man's words caused an uproar. Yiguchen didn't feel anything. He had already expected this. In fact, the real test of this stage was not only to fight against beasts, but also to fight against people. Third, the time limit for the second stage is 15 days. After 15 days, everyone will leave the Black Sky Mountain range and rank according to the number of beast cores obtained. Only the top 500 can enter the third stage. 500! Many warriors had long faces. After excluding the Heaven's Prides from various prefectures, there weren't many spots left. It could be seen that the competition for the top 500 was intense. Those Heaven's Prides had relaxed smiles on their faces. Obviously, they didn't think that they would fall behind these ordinary warriors. After the old man finished reading the rules, the second stage was about to begin. Hey, what's that flying in the sky? Some warriors raised their heads to look. Yiguchen glanced over and found that there were dozens of flying spiritual weapons that looked like eyes in the air. The floating spiritual inscriptions inscribed on them were shining with rays of light. This is a spirit pattern divine weapon, the Sky Patrolling Spirit Eye. It will show you the scene in the Black Sky Mountain Range in the void for the spectators and the people from the 7 major forces to see, the old man said. All the warriors nodded. Obviously, their performance in the Black Sky Mountain Range would be shown to everyone in the outside world. Some of the warriors' eyes lit up with flames. Everyone enter. Following the old man's words, the second stage of the 10 prefectures elite gathering officially began. Chapter 129. The Black Sky Mountain Range was 5 times larger than the Cloud Valley Mountain Range. The entire mountain range was divided into the outer, middle, and inner regions. The outer region was mostly filled with rank 1 to rank 3 demonic beasts, while the middle region had rank 4 demonic beasts. As for the inner region, even some top experts didn't dare to casually enter. Before entering the Black Sky Mountain Range, the elder in charge of the elite meeting warned everyone not to enter the inner region. Otherwise, even if there was danger, the sky surveying spiritual eyes wouldn't record it, let alone send reinforcements. Within the Black Sky Mountain Range, there were ancient trees and the environment was dark and gloomy. The ancient trees were at least 10 feet tall, and their canopies covered the sky. Only the gaps between the canopies scattered light spots. Yiguchen walked alone in the ancient forest. In order to prevent people from forming alliances or attacking each other at the beginning, the participants were arranged to enter from different directions. Yiguchen was assigned to the south, while Su Jianshi was assigned to the east. However, when everyone went deeper, there was still a possibility of meeting up. The Black Sky Mountain Range was extremely vast, and it was up to luck to meet up. A shadow shot towards Yiguchen like a sharp arrow. Yiguchen flicked the soft sword in his hand and cut the shadow into 2 halves. It was a venomous arrow snake, a rank 1 demonic beast. The venom in its fangs could instantly kill an Essence Realm martial artist. However, it wasn't a threat to Yiguchen. Of course, its demonic core was also useless. Looks like I still have to go deeper. Yiguchen used the shadow step and turned into a series of afterimages as he swept deeper into the Black Sky Mountain Range. An hour later, as Yiguchen proceeded deeper into the forest, he could clearly sense that there were some powerful demonic beasts lurking about. Yiguchen wasn't afraid. After all, he had even killed a rank 4 demonic beast, the Ice Fire Dragon Lizard. In the darkness, a demonic beast was lurking like a pitch-black death god. Its green eyes reflected Yiguchen's back. Rustle, rustle. It was like a gust of wind blowing through the grass. Yiguchen's heart suddenly became alert. His body suddenly turned back, and the soft star sword drew out a crescent moon-like sharp light. Clang. The white, hook-like claws collided with the sword edge. Yiguchen felt a huge force coming from the sword. It sounded like the sound of metal clashing against metal. He focused his gaze and discovered that it was a pitch-black leopard. Its pair of jade-green eyes were filled with the ferocity of a predator. 3rd rank demonic beast, Night Devil Leopard. Yiguchen's eyes lit up. Finally, there was a demonic beast that was qualified for him to hunt. The rank 3 Night Devil Leopard was not only fast, but its claws and teeth were also comparable to divine weapons with spiritual inscriptions. Ordinary spiritual weapons would be bitten off by it. But in terms of speed, could it be faster than Yiguchen's sword? In terms of toughness, could it be comparable to the high-grade spiritual inscription's divine weapon, the Meteor Soft Sword? Yiguchen's sword light moved like a snake, emitting a powerful sword aura. It was the ultimate move of the Golden Snake Sword art, Mysterious Sword Light Snake. After sparring with Su Jianshi, who had the Enlightened Sword Heart, Yiguchen had also comprehended the Golden Snake Sword art to greater mastery. His ultimate move was the Mysterious Sword Light Snake. Layers of sword shadows overlapped, as if a mysterious snake was moving, agile and deadly. The most important thing was that Yiguchen had secretly added a trace of hard and soft sword essence when he used the mysterious snake of sword light. Of course, Yiguchen's hard-soft sword intent was only in its embryonic form, but the power of the enhancement was still very shocking. With a flash of blood, the Night Devil Leopard let out a painful roar. Its fur was very tough. Even a supreme-grade spiritual weapon couldn't leave a mark on its surface. But the Meteor Soft Sword was too sharp. It was a high-grade divine weapon refined 100,000 times. It cut through the night devil leopard's fur like cutting paper. The night devil leopard collapsed on the ground. There was a clean cut on its neck. Yi Guchen's meteor-soft sword trembled. With a flash of sword light, a pitch-black Yao pill fell into his hand. After storing the Yao pill, Yi Guchen's footsteps paused. He turned his head and vaguely saw a shadow flashing above the dense forest. Sky Surveyor Spiritual Eye? Yi Guchen didn't care. His golden snake sword art wouldn't expose his true identity. A rank 3 Yao beast is equivalent to a Qi refinement realm martial artist. It's no longer a threat to me. Let's find the next one. Yi Guchen raised his sword again and walked deeper into the mountain range. Yi Guchen's battle was recorded by the Sky Surveyor Spiritual Eye. At this moment, outside the Black Sky Mountain range, where the 7 major factions and many martial artists were gathered. In mid-air, spiritual energy light screens unfolded one after another, flashing scenes of the Black Sky Mountain range. TSK, the Qin clan's 2 princes are truly extraordinary. Whether it's Qin Aoshi or Qin Batin, they both push their way into the depths of the mountain range. Xia Yubing is truly like a goddess. She doesn't even need to use her sword. Just her cold sword Qi is enough to freeze those Yao beasts. Look at Su Jianshi. She's a dark horse as always. Dealing with rank 3 Yao beasts is like child's play. The changing scenes on the light screen attracted the attention and exclamations of many martial artists. Although rank 3 Yao beasts were only comparable to Qi refinement realm martial artists, their innate physique and speed were far beyond human martial artists. Therefore, when rank 3 Yao beasts and Qi refinement realm martial artists met, the Yao beasts usually had the upper hand. And in the screens, most of the martial artists were suppressed by the Yao beasts. Only those geniuses who had the means and trump cards were able to kill the demonic beasts. That Duguwubai doesn't look that weak. He's already killed 3 rank 3 Yao beasts. A few martial artists noticed one of the screens. It was Yi Guchen's figure. He did not reveal too many moves and techniques. He only used a flexible sword and a flexible sword technique, and he had already killed the 3rd demonic beast. This child is quite skilled in using a flexible sword. Lu Tianning, why didn't you report this? Asked an elder from the Limitless Sword sect. He wore a black and white Taoist robe with a sun and moon pattern embroidered on his chest. Lu Tianning's expression froze. Elder Jingting, this person's name is Dugubai. He didn't show much strength in the first stage. He's just an ordinary person. Ordinary my ass. Zhao Jingting was a little angry and couldn't help but curse. If it were you, would you be able to kill a rank 3 Yao beast in one strike? Zhao Jingting glared at Lu Tianning. No. Lu Tianning nodded submissively. He cursed Yi Guchen thousands of times in his heart. On the other side, Elder Qing He of the Sword Sect's Pagoda Forest also noticed Duguwubai. Qingqi, is this the Duguwubai you remember? Elder Qing He asked. That's right, it's him. Although the strength he displayed in the first stage was mediocre, I feel that he's hiding his strength deeply. He's probably a dark horse on par with Su Jianshi, said Chu Qingqi. He paid attention to Duguwubai, but he vaguely felt that this person was hiding something. Yes, he's good. This person's flexible sword has reached perfection. He's like an old grandmaster who has been practicing the flexible sword for decades. But he's so young. He's really talented. The more Elder Qing he looked at Yi Guchen's flexible sword, the more surprised he was. In the Sword Sect's Pagoda Forest, there was no lack of sword cultivators who were good at using flexible swords. However, after seeing Yi Guchen's flexible sword on the screen, Elder Qing he suddenly felt that the sword cultivators in the sect used flexible swords too clumsily. They weren't as graceful and agile as Yi Guchen. Could it be that this kid started practicing the flexible sword in his mother's womb? Elder Qing he thought. Chapter 130. A wisp of sword light zigzagged in the dark ancient forest. It was like a sharp blade that could take one's life. Accompanied by the miserable howl of a 3rd-rank monster, the rock lizard, a yellow monster core fell into Yi Guchen's hand. The rock lizard was covered in a rock armor, but in terms of defensive power, it was much weaker than the ice fire dragon lizard's crystal armor. The meteorite soft sword could easily break through it. The seventh one. Yi Guchen put the monster core into his origin ring. He didn't know what the other geniuses had gained, but 7 monster cores was probably not a small number. Although there are already 7 demonic cores, all of them are of the 3rd rank. The number 1 heaven's favorites of each prefecture will be searching for 4th rank demonic beasts. The points of a 4th rank demonic core are equivalent to 5 3rd rank demonic cores. Yi Guchen's eyes flashed as he thought to himself. For safety's sake, he still needed to look for 4th rank monsters. Then he needed to enter the central region of the Black Sky Mountain Range. Yi Guchen made a decision in his heart, and his figure directly rushed deeper into the mountain range. The central region of the Black Sky Mountain Range was even darker, and there were many hidden fiendish auras. They were all monsters with strong auras. Yi Guchen's feet moved, and suddenly there was some movement in front of him, as well as a girl's shout. "That's..." Yi Guchen looked over and found 2 girls working together to deal with a monster. Feeling the monster's aura, Yi Guchen slightly raised his eyebrows. Peak 3rd rank monster, single-horned demon bear. Although its aura hadn't reached the 4th rank, it wasn't far from it. An ordinary Qi refinement stage cultivator wouldn't have any chance of survival. When Yi Guchen's gaze turned to the 2 figures, he was slightly stunned. The 2 beautiful figures, one green and one red, were not unfamiliar to him. They were Xia Shishir and Xia Ying from the Xia family. Yi Guchen observed their auras and found that they had both reached the 6th rank of Qi refinement stage. They must have received some resources from Xia Yubing. But even so, it was still difficult for the 2 women to subdue the single-horned devil bear even if they joined hands. Instead, they were suppressed to the point of being surrounded by danger. "Xia Shishir, it's all your fault. We didn't even meet up with Sister Yubing before we entered the central region. Now we're in trouble," Xia Ying shrieked. There was still a scar on her face. It was the sword scar left behind by Yi Guchen. The Black Sky Mountain Range is so big. It won't be easy to meet Sister Yubing. If we continue to delay, it's hard to say if we can enter the top 500. Xia Shishir, who was dressed in green, was currently in a rather sorry state. Her dress was torn in many places, revealing her fair skin. Without Big Sister Yubing's help, we wouldn't have been able to enter the top 500. Now, we don't even have the slightest chance. Xia Yinger was once again pushed back by the bear's paw. She spat out a mouthful of blood. "We can't rely on Sister Yubing for everything." Although Xia Shishir said this, another slender figure appeared in her mind. It was precisely because she wanted to chase after that figure that she decided to enter the central region. Because only by doing so could she enter the top 500 and gain the attention of the 7 major forces. The single-horned demonic bear let out an intimidating roar, causing Xia Shishir's figure to freeze as if she had been struck by lightning. Seeing this, the bear stretched out its paw. Its pitch-black claws were like iron hooks. Coupled with its rock-hard paw, it directly attacked Xia Shishir. Xia Shishir. Xia Ying's expression changed, but she didn't dare to step forward to defend herself. "My path ends here? How laughable. So from the beginning to the end, I can only look up at your back, whether it's in the past or now." Xia Shishir revealed a self-deprecating smile. When Yi Guchen was down and out, she helped him. But it was only because she felt pity for him and missed him. But later, when Yi Guchen rose again, Xia Shishir sadly found that the person who needed pity the most was herself. "It's over." Xia Shishir closed her eyes, feeling a sense of relief. The assessment in the Black Sky Mountain Range was risky. It was very difficult for inconspicuous people like them to get the attention of the sky surveying spiritual eyes. So even if Xia Shishir was about to be killed by the bear, no one would come to her rescue. Rescue was a benefit that belonged to the geniuses. Who would care about an ordinary cultivator's life or death? Just as the bear's paw was about to hit Xia Shishir's body, a sword light tore through the air like a sword piercing through the clouds. Boom! The sword light bombarded the single-horned demonic bear's bear paw. A wound was torn open on the extremely tough bear paw, and blood gushed out incessantly. This sudden turn of events caused even Xia Yinger to be stunned for a moment. Could it be Sister Yubing? Xia Yinger's face was filled with joy. When she saw the sword light, Xia Yinger subconsciously thought that it was Xia Yubing. Xia Shishir, who had her eyes closed, didn't welcome the moment of her body being torn apart. She opened her eyes in confusion and was shocked to find that the bear's paw was dripping with blood and it was roaring in pain. This? Xia Shishir was also stunned. A figure slowly walked over with a heavy aura. The two women turned their gazes over at the same time and found that it was a youth with an extremely ordinary face. It's you, Dugu Bai. Xia Shishir and Xia Yinger were both astonished. This youth named Dugu Bai was clearly a dazzling existence in the 10 prefectures' elite gathering. Although there was still a gap between him and Su Jianshi, his name was well known. But what puzzled Xia Shishir was that she had never met Dugu Bai before, so why would he save her? Careful! However, before Xia Shishir could react, a ferocious demonic aura rushed toward her. The injured single-horned demonic bear's demonic aura surged out and its eyes turned scarlet. It had clearly entered a berserk state. A peak rank 3 single-horned demonic bear that had entered a berserk state wasn't much weaker than a rank 4 demonic beast. Xia Shishir was currently exhausted and couldn't dodge. Just at the critical moment, that thin and slender figure blocked in front of her. The single-horned demonic bear's paws fiercely slammed down with monstrous power. Xia Shishir and Xia Yinger closed their eyes, unable to bear to see what was about to happen. Bang! A dull sound rang out as Xia Shishir and Xia Yinger opened their eyes. The scene in front of them left them incomparably shocked. They saw that the youth had actually blocked the single-horned demonic bear's paw with his sword. That's a peak rank 3 demonic beast? Xia Yinger's face was filled with shock. They originally thought that Dugu Bai would be sent flying, but they didn't expect that it would be a stalemate. Looking at the skinny youth in front of her, Xia Shishir's eyes welled up with an inexplicable sourness. It was as if she saw another figure. Chapter 131. Boom! Yi Guchen separated from the single-horned demonic bear as a shockwave rippled out in all directions. The reason why he helped wasn't because he had nothing better to do. It was because Xia Shishir had once done him a favor. In the Xia family's elixir hall, it was Xia Shishir who helped him obtain the blood spirit vermilion fruit when Xia Yinger made things difficult for him. Although it wasn't a big favor, Yi Guchen still remembered it. He had told Xia Shishir that he owed her a favor. Perhaps Xia Shishir didn't care at that time, but now that there was a chance, Yi Guchen should repay her. After being pushed back by this human again and again, the single-horned demonic bear once again erupted with demonic aura and charged at Yi Guchen. Young Master Dugu, be careful. Xia Shishir was at a loss as she reminded him. It's fine. Yi Guchen's meteorite soft sword trembled as all 72 artifact veins lit up. In an instant, the power of the sword aura multiplied. At the same time, he activated the Qi-gathering spiritual rune and the true Qi in his body surged into the rune. The Qi-gathering spiritual rune emitted a dazzling light as if it contained an extremely powerful force. The ultimate move of the Golden Snake Sword art, Mysterious Sword Light Snake. The powerful and violent sword aura rushed out like a giant python. This time, Yi Guchen's Golden Snake Sword art wasn't agile and unpredictable, but violent and domineering, like a giant python entangling its prey. The sword aura landed on the single-horned demonic bear's body, but the tough and thick fur couldn't completely resist the sharpness of the meteorite soft sword. However, when the blade cut into the single-horned demonic bear's body, only a little blood flowed out. Clearly, there was a thick layer of fat under the single-horned demonic bear's tough fur, and its defense was extremely strong. Xia Shishir's delicate body retreated. She knew that she couldn't help much at this moment. Can that Dugu Bai defeat the single-horned demonic bear? That's a peak rank 3 demonic beast, Xia Yinger said with some apprehension. She had also seen his performance in the first round. Although his talent was outstanding, his strength was obviously a level lower. Even the number 1 prodigy of the 10 prefectures wouldn't be able to kill a peak rank 3 demonic beast alone. He did it to save us, so I believe in him. Xia Shishir looked at the skinny figure and an inexplicable confidence rose in her heart. I really don't know where your confidence comes from. If he can't win, we'll have to retreat first. Xia Yinger curled her lips. Actually, she still held a trace of delusion towards the single-horned demonic bear's demon core. Boom. After exchanging blows with each other once again, Yiguchin finally felt how powerful the single-horned devil bear's body was. If not for his perfect physical body and the power of the dragon elephant, he would have been sent flying by the single-horned devil bear's palm. But right now, Yiguchin couldn't recklessly use his sword moves because it would easily expose his identity. If that's the case, then that's the only way. Yiguchin narrowed his eyes slightly. Vigorous true chi surged in his body and a layer of golden light faintly appeared on the surface of his body. With the support of the Vajra celestial body, Yiguchin's physical strength had once again risen to another level. He held the meteor soft sword in his hand and vaguely, something seemed to be brewing. The single-horned devil bear instinctively sensed a dangerous aura. It let out a wild roar, unable to bear it any longer. The horn on its forehead exuded a powerful wave as it charged directly at Yiguchin. It was at this moment that a sky-surveying spiritual eye in the sky arrived and captured this scene. Outside the Black Sky Mountain range, where everyone gathered. On the light screen, the scene of Yiguchin and the single-horned devil bear fighting appeared. Hey, that's a peak rank 3 demonic beast, the single-horned devil bear. Many cultivators were shocked when they saw this scene. Heavens, it's a single-horned devil bear in a berserk state. Its strength is infinitely close to rank 4. Many cultivators exclaimed when they saw the single-horned devil bear with blood-red eyes. Their gazes shifted, wanting to see which unlucky person had encountered the berserk single-horned devil bear. It's actually Dugawubai. He encountered it. That's interesting. I saw him kill rank 3 demonic beasts easily before. I wonder how he will deal with this demonic beast that's infinitely close to rank 4? Some cultivators were curious and looking forward to it, while some were gloating, waiting to see Yiguchin make a fool of himself. After all, geniuses would always arouse the jealousy of some people. On the high platform, the people of the 7 major forces also turned their gazes to the scene of Yiguchin's battle. During the battle with the puppet, Yiguchin's performance was mediocre. It was precisely because of this that some forces did not pay attention to him. But now, they were all interested. Dubai, you caused me to be scolded by the elders. This time, I'll see how you deal with a demonic beast that's close to rank 4. On the high platform of the Limitless Sword sect, Lu Tianing's gaze was gloomy as the corner of his mouth hooked up into a sneer. Previously, Yiguchin had killed a rank 3 demonic beast with a single sword strike, causing him to be scolded by Zhao Jingting. Now that he saw Yiguchin in danger, he naturally felt happy. Within the mountain range, facing the single-horned devil bear that was charging towards him like a mountain, Yiguchin's aura was calm and unafraid. He had even killed a rank 4 demonic beast before, let alone a mere peak rank 3 demonic beast in front of him. Let me try the power of the god-slaying sword technique. Yiguchin's sword aura condensed, and on the meteor sword edge, there seemed to be a layer of blood light circulating. It was extremely scarlet and dazzling. At the same time, there was a dense killing intent spreading out. Although Yiguchin did not use the Azura sword intent, he activated the Azura power in his body and condensed it on the sword edge, which was as red as blood. The first move of the god-slaying sword technique, blood slaughter. A blood-red sword light tore through the air, shaking the void, bringing with it a murderous and bloody aura. When an ordinary man is angry, blood splatters 5 steps away. When a sword cultivator is angry, the blood of heaven and earth sings. Puchi. Almost without any resistance, as if cutting through tofu, the blood-red sword edge directly pierced through the single-horned devil bear's chest and blasted open a large hole. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and one could see the blood-red organs squirming inside. The power of the god-slaying sword technique was actually so terrifying. Boom! The single-horned devil bear fell to the ground with a loud bang, blood flowing out, and its life force gradually fading away. Even Yiguchin was slightly stunned. He did not expect the god-slaying sword technique to be able to erupt with such power. This was not even using the Azura sword intent, but only adding the power of Azura. Moreover, looking at the single-horned devil bear's wound, It was not as smooth as an ordinary sword wound, but as if it had exploded, blood and flesh splattering everywhere. This also meant that the god-slaying sword technique was a pure offensive sword technique. On the side, Xia Shishir and Xia Ying'er were stunned. Especially Xia Ying'er. At first, she was a little suspicious of Yi Guqin, thinking that he wanted to be a hero saving the beauty. But now, it seemed that he did not care about this single-horned devil bear at all. Xia Ying'er's face was a little hot, revealing a resentful expression. At this moment, outside the Black Sky Mountain range, there was an uproar. What? I'm not seeing things, right? One sword? Is it really just one sword? What sword technique is that? Its power is actually so terrifying. That's a peak rank 3 demonic beast. Many of the cultivators who were waiting to see Yi Guqin make a fool of himself were stunned, their mouths wide open. At first, they were still discussing how many moves this Duguwubai would lose, but in the end, it was just a matter of a breath, and the single-horned devil bear fell to the ground. This result was like someone violently slapping them. On the high platform of the 7 major forces, on the sword sect's side, Elder Qing He, who had always had an indifferent expression, after seeing Yi Guqin's sword, a hint of surprise appeared in his old eyes. Although this sword technique is powerful, its murderous nature is extremely strong. How did that kid not get contaminated by its murderous nature? Elder Qing He was also somewhat stunned. On the side, Chu Qingqi had a confident look on his face. He had long known that Duguwubai was not so simple. On the limitless sword sect's side, Lu Tianying wanted to cry. An ordinary person? Is this also an ordinary person? Your eyes are on a dog's body. If Duguwubai, who can kill the single-horned devil bear with one sword, is an ordinary person, then what are you? Mud, a bastard. Zhao Jingting was so angry that he blew his beard and glared. If such a sword genius could not join the limitless sword sect because of Lu Tianying, then he would definitely skin Lu Tianying alive. I know I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Lu Tianying bowed. He was being scolded badly, but there was a burst of anger brewing in his heart. Duguwubai, it's all your fault? A trace of hatred appeared in his eyes. Chapter 132. Outside the Black Sky Mountain range, while the crowd was shocked by Yi Guqin's performance, the atmosphere inside the mountain range had calmed down. After using the first move of the god-slaying sword technique to kill the single-horned demonic bear, Yi Guqin discovered that he had consumed 10% of his true energy. One must know that Yi Guqin had 100 feet wide golden qi, and the amount of true energy he possessed was far greater than an ordinary qi. If it was an ordinary qi, this move would have drained all of their true energy. Moreover, Yi Guqin had also consumed a lot of Azura energy. The power of the god-slaying sword technique matches its consumption. Yi Guqin thought to himself. His meteor sword made a cut on the single-horned demonic bear's body. Blood splattered, and a pitch-black beast core fell into his hand. Xia Ying'er immediately revealed a look of desire. Her beautiful eyes were like silk, constantly twining around Yi Guqin's body. Although Xia Ying'er could be considered pretty, the sword scar on her face made her seductive appearance somewhat repulsive. Yi Guqin directly ignored Xia Ying'er and threw the beast core to Xia Shishir. Like a blessing from the heavens, Xia Shishir couldn't react for a moment. She and this Duguwubai had never met before, and it was already puzzling that she was willing to save him. Xia Shishir didn't even think that Yi Guqin would give her the beast core. Young Master Dugu, the single-horned demonic bear was killed by you, so I can't accept this beast core. Although Xia Shishir also desired this beast core, she still handed it over. You have the qualifications to accept this beast core. Consider it as repaying the karma of that day. Yi Guqin said. Without another word, his figure turned into an afterimage and flashed away. That day when Xia Shishir helped him out, he promised to owe her a favor. Now it was time to settle this karma. After that, Yi Guqin and Xia Shishir had nothing to do with each other. The karma of that day. Xia Shishir's mind flashed as she seemed to have thought of something. But he couldn't remember it at the moment. However, for some reason, as she watched Yi Guqin leave, Xia Shishir bit her lip as tears began to well up in her eyes. Xia Yinger, on the other hand, looked at Xia Shishir with jealousy and annoyance. In the central region of the Black Sky Mountain Range, Yiguchen was still wandering around like a lonely soul. He had already harvested 12 third-rank monster cores, which meant that he had already killed 12 third-rank monster beasts. This was something unimaginable for a normal Qi refining realm martial artist. However, Yiguchen did not relax in the slightest, as he continued to search for the traces of the rank 4 monstrous beast. What's up ahead? Yiguchen slowed down. There seemed to be a hidden valley in front of them. In the secluded valley, there was a faint aura lying dormant. 4th rank demonic beast. Yiguchen's eyes suddenly lit up. Although there were quite a number of rank 4 monstrous beasts in the central region, it was not so easy to encounter one. In addition, many cultivators had entered the mountain range recently, so many rank 4 monstrous beasts had already hidden themselves. Therefore, it was not so easy to find a rank 4 monstrous beast. However, Yiguchen did not act rashly, because in addition to the ferocious aura in the secluded valley, there was also a faint human voice coming from the other side of the valley. "I told you not to follow me." There was a faint snort with a trace of impatience. Hearing this voice, Yiguchen suddenly froze. This voice was not unfamiliar to him, as it was the voice of Princess Yuanyang. "Your Highness, you will only be safe if you follow me. Moreover, I can also share the monster cores with you. Once I kill the rank 4 monstrous beast in this valley, I will give you the monster cores." Another male voice sounded, with a hint of flattery. "I said I don't need your help, and I also don't need to rely on others." Princess Yuanyang raised her eyebrows and curled her lips. The man who spoke was none other than the number 1 genius of Yuanyang Mansion, Mo Lin. Mo Lin was dressed in white and had black hair. He looked quite well dressed, but the corners of his eyes were sharp and narrow. Obviously, he was not an open-minded person. Seeing Princess Yuanyang's attitude, Mo Lin's face slightly darkened and said, "Is it because of that sword, Master Yiguchen? Could it be that you still have him in your heart?" Princess Yuanyang was at a loss for words when she heard this. Then, she said in a strong voice, "Does it have anything to do with you?" That sword master is just a coward who is scared by a woman and does not dare to come out. Why are you thinking about that kind of man every day?" Mo Lin said in a sharp and unkind tone. "It's none of your business, shameless." Princess Yuanyang's eyes were cold. She pursed her thin red lips. Although she wanted to argue, it was true that Yiguchen did not appear. Thinking of this, Princess Yuanyang's eyes could not help but dim. Although she did not have much interaction with Yiguchen, Princess Yuanyang's heart was still complicated when it came to this person who she had admired for a long time. "Your Highness, I will prove to you that I am worthy of you in the 10 prefectures elite gathering." Mo Lin's tone was slightly excited. Obviously, he was extremely confident in himself. Princess Yuanyang just wanted to leave. At this moment, there was movement in the valley. The ground trembled slightly, as if something was about to rush out. Yiguchen, who was hiding on the other side, shook his head slightly with a cold smile on his face. It was fine to speak loudly in front of someone's house. Not to mention a demonic beast with sharp senses, even an ordinary cultivator would be able to detect the movement. But facing the demonic beast that was about to attack, Mo Lin did not have the slightest fear. He slowly took out a fan and leisurely fanned himself. At the side, Princess Yuanyang cast a sidelong glance at Mo Lin, whose posture was incomparably coquettish, and curled her lips. She could not stand Mo Lin's arrogance. A demonic beast that was about 6 meters tall rushed out. It was an earth demon ape. This earth demon ape's fur was as black as ink, and its eyes were blood red. There was a strong murderous aura surging around its body, indicating that this demonic beast had reached the 4th rank. It's just an earth demon ape." Mo Lin's expression was extremely disdainful. True qi surged around his body, indicating that he had reached the 8th cycle of qi refinement. As the number 1 prodigy of a prefecture, this Mo Lin did have some qualifications. He activated the folding fan in his hand. Tool veins spread out, and at the same time, spiritual inscriptions lit up. This folding fan was actually a divine weapon with spiritual inscriptions. Mo Lin threw out the Xianming treasure fan with spiritual inscriptions. Like a boomerang, the edge of the treasure fan let out an ear-piercing sound, and an extremely sharp fluctuation spread out. Boom! The earth demon ape's arm was like a black iron pillar, and it punched out. It hit the Xianming treasure fan without any deviation, and the sound of metal clashing burst out. Soon, the man and the beast were engaged in a chaotic battle. Yi Guchen watched in the dark. He had to admit that as the number one prodigy of a prefecture, Mo Lin was not much weaker than Yuan Mie, Qin Aoshi, and the others, even if he was slightly weaker than them. Mo Lin cultivated the Mo clan's ancestral spirit-level cultivation method, the Dark Heaven art, and his true qi had a cold attribute. Every time he attacked, cold yin qi would enter the earth demon ape's body. However, demonic beasts had rich blood and qi, so there would not be any problems in a short period of time. Yi Guchen could see that Mo Lin planned to exhaust the earth demon ape slowly. After all, not everyone was like Yi Guchen, who had a perfect body and could fight a demonic beast head-on. On the side, Princess Yuanyang crossed her arms in front of her breasts and watched lazily. She had to admit that although she hated Mo Lin, he still had some skills. As if he felt Princess Yuanyang's attention, the arrogant smile on Mo Lin's face gradually widened, and his eyes became more and more spirited. Just as Mo Lin was about to use his means to severely injure the earth demon ape, an extremely violent roar came from the depths of the valley. Chapter 133. A demonic beast's roar shook the entire valley. Then, the ground shook like a drum as if there was an earthquake. Princess Yuanyang and Mo Lin both looked at the demonic beast that rushed out of the valley in shock. It was also a demonic ape. However, unlike the pitch-black earth demonic ape, this demonic ape's fur was as white as snow, but the demonic aura it emitted was slightly stronger than the earth demonic ape's. Sky demonic ape. The confident smile on Mo Lin's face froze in an instant. Although he was the number one prodigy of Yuanyang Prefecture, his strength was indeed slightly weaker than the number one prodigies of other prefectures. Because Yuanyang Prefecture was smaller and less populated than the other prefectures, there weren't many prodigies that came out in the past. Mo Lin was able to become the number one prodigy because he was better than others. However, Mo Lin didn't know that and always compared himself to Yuan Mie, Qin Aoshi, Shunta Miao, and the others. When the sky demonic ape appeared, Mo Lin's mouth twitched and his smile froze. With his strength, dealing with a beginner rank 4 earth demonic ape would take a lot of effort. Moreover, there was another sky demonic ape that was slightly stronger than the earth demonic ape. What's going on? How can there be such a coincidence? There's actually another sky demonic ape. Mo Lin wanted to cry. Although he had heard of heaven demonic apes accompanying each other, the probability was extremely low. Now, he just so happened to run into one. And in front of Princess Yuanyang. After Mo Lin and the earth demonic ape exchanged blows again, his qi and blood were in turmoil. And the sky demonic ape was already charging over. At this moment, the sky surveying spiritual eyes in the sky once again arrived. The scene of Mo Lin running into the heaven demonic ape also appeared in the eyes of the spectators. Heavens, there are 2 rank 4 demonic beasts. It's the sky demonic ape and the earth demonic ape. Mo Lin is really unlucky to run into a heaven demonic ape. Hurry up and send experts over. If the situation is not right or Mo Lin is in danger, rescue him immediately, the life and death chamber elder in charge of the situation shouted. Mo Lin was the prodigy of the Mo family and the number one prodigy of Yuanyang Prefecture, so his treatment was naturally different. However, if an expert were to take action, then Mo Lin's qualifications to take the test would naturally be revoked. Is there really going to be a number one prodigy who will fall at the second stage? It's not impossible. After all, that's a heaven-earth demonic ape, 2 rank 4 demonic beasts. Not to mention Mo Lin, even Shunta Miao, Qin Aoshi, and the others would not have it easy if they encountered them. On the high platform, the people of the 7 major forces were discussing. Within the mountain range. Let's go. This was the only thought in Molin's mind. Firstly, he didn't want to die here. Secondly, he didn't want anyone to rescue him because that would cause him to lose the right to take the test. For someone as prideful as Mo Lin, being eliminated in the second round was a fate worse than death for him. The Sky Demonic Ape and Earth Demonic Ape rushed over at the same time, crushing the trees and pushing everything in their path. Mo Lin and Princess Yuanyang moved quickly, trying to escape. However, even though the two devilish apes had large bodies, their speed was still extremely fast. Mo Lin was fine. After all, his cultivation was slightly higher, and his true chi was vigorous. Coupled with the Mahis cloud steps, he was already able to shake off the two devilish apes. However, Princess Yuanyang couldn't do it. She was slightly slower than Mo Lin. Once she fell behind Mo Lin, the two devilish apes would definitely shift their target to her. Mo Lin, what are you doing? Princess Yuanyang was about to go crazy. She was simply suffering an unexpected calamity. Mo Lin's face turned green and white. He originally wanted to show off in front of Princess Yuanyang by killing the rank 4 demonic beast and giving her its demonic core. However, the current situation was completely out of his expectations. Facing Princess Yuanyang's scolding behind him, Mo Lin's expression was as if his father had died. However, when he thought of the consequences of not being able to escape, he would either die or be rescued, and lose the right to take the test. Mo Lin couldn't accept any of them. He turned back to look at Princess Yuanyang again. At the critical moment of life and death, Princess Yuanyang didn't seem as beautiful as before. Gritting his teeth, Mo Lin didn't say a word and directly increased his speed. His footsteps were like drifting clouds, and he once again shook off Princess Yuanyang and the two devilish apes. Princess Yuanyang was extremely shocked and furious. As the daughter of the mansion master, she was naturally unruly and willful. She had always been the one who looked down on others. This was the first time someone had abandoned her. Especially the person who had abandoned her. Just a moment ago, he was still pursuing her with flowery words. How could Princess Yuanyang not be angry? However, even if she was angry, it was of no use. Feeling the ferocious aura of the two devilish apes behind her, Princess Yuanyang's pretty face turned slightly pale. Her strength wasn't enough to deal with one rank 4 demonic beast alone, let alone two. In front of her, Mo Lin had already run far away. Princess Yuanyang's eyes were filled with despair. Even if an expert came to rescue her, she would still lose the right to take the test. Just as Princess Yuanyang was at a loss, a blood-colored sword light that seemed to have been brewing for a long time, carrying a monstrous bloody aura, directly pierced towards the Earth demonic ape. Because it was too sudden and it was a sneak attack, even the Earth demonic ape with sharp senses didn't have time to react. That blood-colored sword light that caused people's hearts to palpitate directly pierced through the Earth demonic ape's chest. With a boom, the Earth demonic ape's chest exploded. Flesh and blood splattered in all directions. It was extremely bloody. Some pieces of flesh and blood splattered on Princess Yuanyang's body, as well as her delicate white face. She didn't even notice it. She seemed to be in a daze as she stared blankly at the Earth demonic ape that had fallen to the ground. With just one sword strike, a rank 4 demonic beast, the Earth demonic ape, had died? Although it was a sneak attack, this scene still caused Princess Yuanyang's heart to fiercely tremble for a moment. Who was it? Yuan Mie, Murong Ditian, or Xia Yubing? In Princess Yuanyang's heart, there were only a few number 1 geniuses who were good at using the sword. An extremely ordinary-looking youngster walked out. The long sword in his hand was flowing with a blood-like blood-colored light, which looked extremely dazzling. However, it was precisely this ordinary-looking youngster whose body was surging with a cold, murderous aura that caused Princess Yuanyang's heart to tremble. It's actually him? Dugubai? Princess Yuanyang was incomparably astonished. She naturally knew about Dugubai. After all, he had an outstanding performance in the innate talent assessment. However, when he was fighting against the Black Puppet Demon, Dugubai didn't display such valiant battle prowess. Princess Yuanyang thought inwardly. Her gaze was uncertain as she sized up Yiguchen. killing a rank 4 demonic beast with one sword strike. Perhaps even those number 1 geniuses wouldn't be able to do so. Yiguchen didn't even look at Princess Yuanyang. Holding the meteor flexible sword in his hand, he turned the tip of the sword towards the heaven demonic ape. With the earth demonic ape dead, the heaven demonic ape's eyes were blood red. It was extremely furious and actually opened its mouth to spit out a ball of demonic chi. Chapter 134. The sky demonic ape's demonic breath was strong and corrosive. If an ordinary chi refinement realm martial artist came into contact with it, their flesh and blood would be completely corroded. However, Yiguchen's expression didn't change at all. He slowly raised his hand, and with a puff, a ball of crimson flame mixed with deep blue emerged from his palm, rolling on its own. It was the heaven and earth flame, the heavenly sun Xianming fire. Yiguchen's heavenly sun Xianming fire, other than when he was forging, he had never shown it in front of others. Therefore, this wouldn't expose Yiguchen's identity. He casually threw this ball of fire, and it collided with the demonic breath. The fiercely rolling flame burned the demonic breath, turning it into wisps of green smoke. On the other side, the sky demonic ape's crimson eyes flashed with a human-like fear. Except for some fire-attributed demonic beasts, the rest of the beasts were instinctively afraid of fire. Especially the heaven and earth flame, which was extremely powerful. It was even more powerful than ordinary flames. As if he saw the fear in the sky demonic ape's eyes, Yiguchen slowly placed his burning left hand on the falling star soft sword's blade. As Yiguchen's palm moved, the blade ignited inch by inch. In the end, the entire falling star soft sword was burning with the heavenly sun Xianming fire. This method of using the heaven and earth flame made Princess Yuanyang, who wasn't far away, stunned. Boom! Without any hesitation, the sky demonic ape and Yiguchen rushed at each other at the same time. The sky demonic ape's entire body was covered with demonic breath, and its thick ape arm carried the power of 10,000 pounds as it attacked Yiguchen. The burning sword edge collided with the sky demonic ape's claw, and the powerful force made Yiguchen's expression change slightly. The sky demonic ape's strength was indeed stronger than the earth demonic ape's. Yiguchen's body was pushed back, but the sky demonic ape didn't have it easy either. Its claw was charred black, and at the same time, there was a thin layer of frost condensing. This was the heavenly sun Xianming fire's characteristic. It had the power of extreme heat and extreme cold. Again, on the surface of Yiguchen's body, a faint golden light flashed. His flawless muscles and bones seemed to contain a surge of divine power. With his perfect physical body, he had the Vajradharma body and the Dracophant force. Such a physique was not inferior to some of the stronger demonic beasts. Boom, boom, boom. In the continuous collisions, Yiguchen was like a demonic beast that had taken human form. The edge of his sword was no longer as strange and difficult to distinguish as before. Instead, it was like a mountain, opening and closing wide. This was because Yiguchen wanted to test how strong his physical body was. Princess Yuanyang was completely dumbfounded. Her pretty face was frozen with astonishment. Evildoer. This was what Princess Yuanyang was thinking at the moment. With the body of a human, to be able to contend against the sky demonic ape, which was known for its powerful physical body, if he wasn't a monster, then what was? I wonder who is stronger between Yiguchen and him. Princess Yuanyang couldn't help but think to herself. But when she thought of this, her phoenix eyes slightly dimmed. Unfortunately, Yiguchen didn't come, which made Princess Yuanyang feel a little disappointed. At the same time, in a place slightly further away, Mo Lin stopped running. He turned his head and looked back with suspicion. Those two demonic apes didn't follow? Mo Lin frowned slightly. Although he was a little arrogant, he wasn't stupid. His eyes flickered. His body moved like a floating cloud and turned back. Not long after, Mo Lin saw Yiguchen fighting against the sky demonic ape. That's Dugubai? Mo Lin's face stiffened. There was disbelief in his eyes. Because in his opinion, Yiguchen only had a little talent. In the first round of the battle with the puppet, Yiguchen did not have any redeeming qualities. But it was this existence that Mo Lin neglected that was now fighting against the sky demonic ape. No wonder Mo Lin didn't dare to believe his eyes. His gaze turned to look at the other earth demonic ape on the ground. His eyes suddenly revealed a trace of greed. Mo Lin was arrogant and ambitious. Everyone wanted to fight for first place in the second round. The points of a fourth-ranked demonic beast's monster core were not low. Don't worry. When the sandpiper and the clam fight, the fisherman benefits. This stupid kid is just making a wedding dress for me. Mo Lin's eyes flashed with a trace of pride. The corner of his mouth curved into a playful sneer. Boom. Once again, Yiguchen retreated more than 10 steps. His chest also felt a surge of blood. However, the sky demonic ape wasn't in a good condition either. Its palms were dripping with blood and charred black. Its originally snow-white fur was now covered with charred black sword marks. One could faintly smell a charred stench. The sky demonic ape's beast eyes looked at Yiguchen. It was no longer as fierce as before. Instead, there was a strong sense of dread. As a demonic beast, it instinctively felt the threat of death from this human in front of it. The sky demonic ape let out a furious roar. Then, it turned around and fled. A rank 4 demonic beast actually wanted to escape directly. This scene made Princess Yuanyang speechless. At the same time, these scenes were also displayed on the void light screen outside the mountain range through the sky surveying spiritual eyes. This scene really shocked some people. Until now, there were only a few geniuses who could scare a fourth-ranked demonic beast away. In particular, some of the elders of the 7 major forces were very surprised. Yiguchen's physical strength was beyond everyone's expectations. Even in the 7 major forces, there were almost no geniuses who had such a strong physical body. Not only does he have an exquisite soft sword, but he also has a strong physique comparable to a demonic beast. This kid is worthy of being recruited into our sword sect pagoda forest, Elder Qing he muttered. On the side of the limitless sword sect, poor Lu Tianying was once again scolded by Zhao Jingting. Such a talent must be recruited into our limitless sword sect, no matter the price. Zhao Jingting slapped the armrest of the chair with one hand, frowning, and said firmly. He was indeed qualified to say such words because the limitless sword sect was vaguely the leader among the 7 major forces, although the gap was not particularly obvious. Lu Tianying's face was extremely ugly, but he could only nod. In the mountain range, looking at the sky demonic ape that turned around and ran, Yiguchen was also slightly stunned. He did not expect that the demonic beast, which had always been known for its ferocity, would run away. However, he understood. After all, there were almost no humans who had a perfect physical body like him. And the physique that demonic beasts were so proud of was no longer an advantage, so the whole battle naturally leaned towards fairness. Not only were humans more intelligent than demonic beasts, but they also had spiritual inscriptions, divine weapons, strange flames, and other means. In fact, they had a slight advantage. How can I let you escape when I'm about to get the 4th-ranked demonic core? Yiguchen raised his sword-like eyebrows slightly. He was worried that he could not find a 4th-ranked demonic beast. Now that there was a chance, it was impossible to let the sky demonic ape escape. Chapter 135. A sword radiance with a strange flame snaked like a snake and blocked the sky demonic ape's retreat. Boom. The sword radiance collided with the sky demonic ape's fist, and the sky demonic ape's body suddenly stopped. Its beastly eyes were burning with a fierce aura again. Rank 4 demonic beasts had a certain level of thinking ability. In its opinion, it was already giving in by retreating, but the human opposite it was unwilling to let it go. Even demonic beasts had anger. The sky demonic ape's beastly eyes were red as if they were dripping blood. A strong blood-red demonic chi rose from its body, and at the same time, some demonic patterns vaguely appeared on the surface of its body. Those are demonic patterns. This sky demonic ape has comprehended a demonic beast's divine ability? Yiguchen's eyes were also filled with astonishment. As everyone knew, demonic beasts were different from humans. They could not cultivate martial arts and so on. However, some powerful demonic beast clans had inherited demonic beast divine abilities, and their power was not weaker than some of the top martial arts of humans. Furthermore, some demonic beasts that were so powerful that they could transform into human form not only had demonic beast divine abilities, but also inherited demonic beast divine abilities. Their strength was comparable to the top human experts. Even Yiguchen did not expect the sky demonic ape to have comprehended a demonic beast divine ability. A demonic beast that had comprehended a divine ability was far more powerful than an ordinary demonic beast. Right now, the sky demonic ape was obviously forced into a desperate situation and was ready to fight to the death. This scene was also transmitted to the outside of the mountain through the sky surveying spiritual eyes, causing an uproar. It was the first time that a rank 4 demonic beast that could use a demonic beast divine ability had appeared. Many people did not think highly of Yiguchen. Although he had killed many rank 3 demonic beasts and even the rank 4 earth demonic ape had died under his sword, the demonic beast divine ability could not be underestimated. However, the heavenly demonic ape's demonic beast divine ability could not be underestimated. Even the number 1 prodigy of each prefecture would have to retreat if they did not use their trump cards. Just when everyone thought that Yiguchen would retreat, they were shocked to find that not only did Yiguchen have no intention of retreating, but he also tightened his grip on his sword hilt as if he was going to fight. He's crazy. This was what all the spectators thought. To fight against a 4th-rank demonic beast that could use its divine ability, he must be crazy. At this moment, within the mountain range, Yiguchen's thoughts were calm. Just nice, I can use your sacred art to verify the god-slaying sword techniques. Yiguchen's eyes did not contain the slightest bit of fear. Instead, they were filled with an awe-inspiring battle intent. Not far away, Princess Yuanyang and Mo Lin, who was secretly observing, were also very surprised by Yiguchen's choice. Mo Lin, in particular, was smiling coldly. He was happy to see such a scene. If Yiguchen was seriously injured or even dead, it would be the best outcome for him. He could easily obtain the Yao Core. I hope you don't die too miserably, Molin said sarcastically. In the arena, the demonic patterns on the heavenly demonic ape's body seemed to become more and more obvious. The red demonic patterns flickered as if they were breathing. Yiguchen pushed the Azura power in his body into the falling star flexible sword. The heavenly sun Shenming fire burning on the edge of the sword was gradually covered by a layer of blood-red light. A blood-red aura that made one's heart tremble was slowly emitted from the sword. At this moment, whether it was Princess Yuanyang, Mo Lin, or the many cultivators observing the battle through the sky surveying spiritual eyes, the 7 major forces were all watching with rapt attention. They could see that Yiguchen was about to display that powerful sword move filled with blood aura. It was also that sword move that could casually kill a rank 3 demonic beast. Even a rank 4 demonic beast would be killed if careless. But, could this sword move block the rank 4 sky demonic ape's sacred art? Everyone held their breaths in anticipation. Shio. At a certain moment, the falling star flexible sword in Yiguchen's hand was like an arrow released from a bow, bringing with it a glaring blood-red light as it attacked the sky demonic ape. God-slaying sword technique's first move, blood slaughter. The sky demonic ape's blood aura erupted from its body. The red demonic patterns on its body flowed endlessly. As it punched out, the demonic aura soared and vaguely formed a scarlet mountain on top of its head. This punch was like an ancient demonic mountain crashing down. Its power was extremely strong. Outside the mountain range, the cultivators were the elite disciples of the 7 major forces. Their pupils shrank. The sky demonic ape's punch was extremely powerful. Even a genius would have to avoid the attack. Otherwise, they would be seriously injured or even killed by this punch. Come on. Yiguchen's gaze was stern. He fully activated his Vajra celestial body, and the dragon elephant strength exploded. Ooh. The sky demonic ape's fist came crashing down. The air was compressed by this fist. That scarlet demonic mountain, accompanied by the fist, fell down on Yiguchen's head. Boom! A powerful air wave from the fist spread out along the point of contact between the man and the beast. In an instant, smoke and dust filled the air. Rocks flew everywhere. The surrounding towering ancient trees were overturned by the air wave. Poochie! A figure was thrown out like a kite with a broken string, breaking 4 or 5 towering trees in succession. Looking at the figure, the spectators through the sky surveying spiritual eyes sighed. That figure was Yiguchen. His body fell to the ground, creating a deep pit. Even with his powerful body, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. A 4th-rank demonic beast with supernatural powers was indeed powerful. Not far away, Princess Yuanyang covered her mouth with both hands, and her eyebrows were anxious. No matter whether that person attacked for the beast core or not, at least he saved her life. Therefore, Princess Yuanyang's beautiful red phoenix eyes were also filled with worry. Mo Lin, who was hiding in the shadows, sneered. Clearly, he had already expected this situation. Although Yi Guchen's defeat was within everyone's expectations, they still sighed when they saw it. What a pity for a dark horse. Yeah, if that Duguubai was seriously injured now, it would be difficult for him to reach the end of the second round. It's his fault for trying to be brave. He dared to fight against a 4th-rank demonic beast with supernatural powers. He's crazy. Outside the mountain range, everyone was discussing endlessly. Inside the mountain range, Yiguchen slowly stood up. He frowned and looked at the place where the smoke and dust was gradually dispersing. When the smoke and dust dispersed, the sky demonic ape's figure was revealed. Princess Yuanyang, Mo Lin, and even many spectators held their breaths in an instant. At this moment, the sky demonic ape's entire right arm, which was used to punch, exploded into a pile of rotten flesh. The sky demonic ape's eyes were red. It looked at Yiguchen, and there was another kind of emotion in its ferocity. Fear. Everyone was speechless. Some of the people who had mocked Yiguchen for overestimating himself also turned pale and embarrassed. They had thought that Yiguchen was crushed by the sky demonic ape, but now it seemed that the sky demonic ape had also been seriously injured after using supernatural powers. As expected of a 4th-rank demonic beast with supernatural powers, Yiguchen adjusted the blood in his body and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with one hand. He had a perfect body, and his recovery ability was amazing. Even if he was injured, he could recover in a very short time. If that's the case, I can only use that move. Yiguchen looked serious. He knew that the sky demonic ape on the opposite side was obviously in a desperate situation and would completely use all its strength. The next move was a battle of life and death. Chapter 136. A murderous aura circulated around Yi Guchen's body. His eyes, which were as black as the abyss, were gradually covered with a faint layer of blood. It was not the eye of Azura, but the murderous aura instinctively gathered in his eyes. Could it be that Yi Guchen has an even more powerful trump card besides that terrifying sword move? Many warriors watching through the void light screen, including the people from the 7 major forces, stared at the light screen closely, afraid to miss a second. In their opinion, the power of the sword move that Yi Guchen had just displayed was already extremely shocking. If this wasn't his last resort, then this sudden emergence of a dark horse was truly a little terrifying. In the mountain range, the sky demonic ape seemed to have sensed the smell of death. Its eyes were completely covered with a scarlet color, and it had completely entered a state of madness. The bright red demon pattern appeared on its body again, and a strong demonic aura rose like a chi ray. At this moment, the sky demonic ape's chi, blood, and demonic power were completely activated to the extreme. Such a strong fluctuation made Princess Yuanyang and Mo Lin, who was hiding in the dark, extremely frightened. If they were to face this crazy sky demonic ape, they would most likely be crushed into a bloody pulp. But Yi Guchen did not have the slightest trace of fear. In his eyes, there was only this sword move left. The golden sea of chi in his dantian was crazily rotating, and the powerful golden true chi and the power of Azura poured into the meteor soft sword. In the blink of an eye, the originally blood-red sword was covered with a layer of extremely dense blood-red light. That degree even faintly revealed a kind of deathly stillness black. The world was silent, and in this silence, Yi Guchen's eyes were as red as blood, and countless demonic sounds lingered in his mind. This was the negative effect of the god-slaying sword technique. It could affect people's emotions, mind, and then make them fall into madness and so on. But how could Yiguchen, who had experienced 9 lives of Azura illusions, be affected by such shallow emotions? Completely blocking the demonic sounds in his mind, Yiguchen stabbed out with his sword. With one strike, heaven and earth lost their color. The second style of the god-slaying sword technique, only demon. The sword was graceful, and a sword turned into a demon. At this moment, it was as if Yiguchen had truly transformed into a sword demon. The blood-red sword edge continued forward, causing the heavens and earth to dim as it was covered in a layer of blood-red radiance. On the other side, the sky demonic ape had also unleashed the last of its strength, using its remaining ape arm to attack. A gigantic and illusory crimson demonic mountain broke through the air as if it had come from the primordial times, bringing with it a tremendous force. Boom! An incomparably powerful fluctuation swept through the surroundings. The forest was destroyed, and deep pitch-black cracks appeared on the ground. Even Princess Yuanyang was sent flying dozens of feet away by the shockwave. Mo Lin, who was hiding in the dark, hurriedly retreated. The power of the shockwaves was extremely shocking. After the ultimate collision, the world fell silent. The entire forest was in a mess, as if it had been trampled by countless ferocious beasts. In midair, the sky-surveying spiritual eyes that had dodged the aftershocks also aimed downwards. Many warriors in the outside world held their breaths, wanting to know the result. A cloud of dust dispersed, and Yiguchen's figure appeared. His clothes were torn in many places, and blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. His aura had dropped a lot, as if he had been severely injured. However, only Yiguchen himself knew that although he looked severely injured, it was actually not. The perfect physical body and the Vajradharma body made Yiguchen's physique abnormally strong. The most important thing was that Yiguchen had to hide his strength. If Yiguchen was still as lively as a dragon and as lively as a tiger after such a collision, and his aura did not drop, then it would be too conspicuous, attracting suspicion. Before he had completely decided to join a certain force, Yiguchen could not reveal his identity as a sword master. After seeing Yiguchen's aura drop and his serious injuries, the warriors in the outside world all sighed. Their gazes then turned to the other side. And with one look, many warriors' faces froze. Because in that cloud of dust, only a pile of collapsed flesh was left, like a mountain of flesh. That mountain of flesh was the sky demonic ape. Such power! Many warriors sucked in a breath, and there was deep shock in their eyes. To be able to turn the sky demonic ape, known for its strong physique, into a pile of rotten flesh, how terrifying was the lethality of this sword technique. Seeing his own battle record, Yiguchen was also a little surprised, but overall, he was still calm. After all, the lethality of the first move of the god-slaying sword technique was strong enough, and the second move would definitely be stronger. It was just that the consumption would be greater. Yiguchen probed the true qi in his qi. He had lost 20% of it, twice as much as the first move, blood slaughter. Yiguchen had not finished cultivating the third move of the god-slaying sword technique, but the consumption should be greater. Overall, Yiguchen had gained quite a lot this time. 2 rank 4 monster cores were 100 points, which was equivalent to 10 rank 3 monster cores. With these 2 rank 4 monster cores, Yiguchen could be considered to have passed the second stage in the bag. Just as Yiguchen was about to take the monster cores, a cold voice suddenly sounded. "Hold on, brother. It's not good for you to take 2 rank 4 Yao cores for yourself." In the distant forest, a person slowly walked out. He was wearing white clothes and had black hair, and he was staring coldly at Yiguchen. "Mo Lin, what are you doing?" On the other side, Princess Yuanyang walked over and glared at Mo Lin. "Do I know you?" Yiguchen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said indifferently, "Oh, you don't know me? I am Yuanyang Mansion's #1 genius, Mo Lin." Mo Lin's tone was slightly arrogant. Hearing this, Yiguchen shook his head. "Fine, let's not talk about other things for now. These 2 monster apes were attracted by me, And the earth monster ape was almost killed by me before you came to pick the fruits of my labor. So, don't you think you should give me an explanation? Mo Lin slightly gritted his teeth, and his gaze became colder. Mo Lin, don't be so shameless. You were the one who was scared and couldn't defeat the two devil apes. You even abandoned me and ran away. Later, when young Master Dugu appeared and killed the devil apes, you stood out. How can you be so shameless? Princess Yuanyang shouted. Her face was red with anger. As a princess, she was arrogant and couldn't bear to be taken advantage of. Mo Lin abandoning her already made her extremely disgusted. So, Yi Guchen turned his head and looked at Mo Lin indifferently. So, it's simple. Give these 2 rank 4 monster cores to me, and you can leave safely. Mo Lin put his hands behind his back and ignored Princess Yuanyang. An 8th cycle Qi refinement realm aura vaguely spread out and suppressed Yi Guchen. If Yi Guchen wasn't injured, Mo Lin wouldn't dare to be so brazen. But after fighting with the sky monster ape, Yi Guchen did look like he was seriously injured. That was why Mo Lin was so unscrupulous. What if I say no? Yi Guchen said with a playful tone and raised his eyebrows. Then you can die. Mo Lin's tone was cold. Chapter 137. In Mo Lin's opinion, Yi Guchen should be a genius without any background, but with some talent. It wasn't impossible to kill such a genius. At least he didn't have to fear revenge. The various scenes of Mo Lin and Yi Guchen were transmitted to the outside world through the sky surveying spiritual eyes. The spectating cultivators all snorted disdainfully. As the number 1 prodigy of Yuanyang Mansion, Mo Lin had actually done such a thing. It was truly despicable. Among the spectators, there were also members of Yuanyang Mansion's Mo family. At this moment, the members of the Mo family all had embarrassed expressions. Some of them even wanted to find a hole to hide in. However, there were also a few cultivators who believed that there were no rules in the second stage. Mo Lin's act of snatching Yi Guchen's monster core wasn't against the rules. It was just that such a method was rather unpleasant to watch. Within the mountain range, Yi Guchen was expressionless when he heard Mo Lin's words. He had already expected Mo Lin to say this. However, although Yi Guchen appeared to be in a sorry state and his aura was weak, he was in good condition. However, he was still in good condition. If Mo Lin really wanted to make a move, Yi Guchen could guarantee that he would regret it. Mo Lin, how can you be so shameless? Princess Yuanyang took a step forward and stood in front of Yi Guchen. Although she was spoiled and willful, her heart wasn't too bad. Previously, she had said that she wanted to take Yi Guchen as a sword attendant, but it was only because she was too infatuated with Yi Guchen. This was the so-called hatred born from love. Looking at the girl standing in front of him, Yi Guchen was slightly stunned. He didn't have any feelings for Princess Yuanyang from beginning to end. They were like passers-by. However, Princess Yuanyang's current actions slightly changed Yi Guchen's view of her. Back off. Yi Guchen reached out and pressed Princess Yuanyang's shoulder, pushing her to the side. With Princess Yuanyang's cultivation, she was still unable to resist Mo Lin. Young Master Dugu, then you? Princess Yuanyang hesitated. In her opinion, Yi Guchen had just killed the sky demonic ape, and was already an arrow at the end of its flight. How could he fight against Mo Lin who was in perfect condition? It's just Mo Lin. It's not enough to... Yi Guchen said casually. However, these words caused the corners of Mo Lin's eyes to twitch. The veins on his temples throbbed, and his gaze instantly became as gloomy as a cold abyss. Dugubai, how confident are you to say such words? Mo Lin made his move. True Qi with a cold attribute gathered in the center of his palm. In the end, it let out a piercingly cold whistling sound. Spirit-level martial art, 9 fiendish in wind palm. Mo Lin sent out a palm strike with a cold look in his eyes. He wanted to get rid of Yi Guchen, who was an eyesore. Yi Guchen smiled. His smile was casual. Although he might reveal some of his trump cards when he fought again, such as his extremely powerful physical body and recovery ability, he was confident that he would not be able to defeat Yang Kai. However, Yi Guchen would not sit still and wait for his death. Just as Yi Guchen was about to attack again, A sword light broke through the air like a meteor. It was accompanied by a sweet voice that Yiguchen was familiar with. Shameless person, accept the punishment of the righteous heroine, Su Jianshi. Boom. The sword light collided with Mo Lin's palm strike. Mo Lin was forced to retreat, and a bloody mark appeared on his palm. Who is it? Mo Lin was furious. Not far away, a girl in green stepped lightly on the branches of an ancient tree. She was like a fairy in the forest. Her figure was graceful, and she glided over like a light cloud. Following her graceful steps, the silver bells on her fair ankles also emitted waves of lively and crisp sounds. Her beautiful eyes were like limpid autumn waters, and her face was delicate. Who else could it be but Su Jianshi? It's you, Su Jianshi? Mo Lin's eyes flashed with surprise at first. After all, such a beautiful girl like Su Jianshi was even more outstanding than Princess Yuanyang in terms of looks and strength. However, Mo Lin's face turned ugly in the next moment. It was obvious that Su Jianshi had come for Yiguchen. Mo Lin's heart burned with jealousy when he thought that such a beautiful girl had come for Yiguchen. Su Jianshi, why are you here? Yiguchen was a little puzzled. How could I not know about such a big commotion here? Moreover, I have my own methods. Su Jianshi winked at Yiguchen, then glanced at Mo Lin. Do you still want to attack? Su Jianshi waved her fist threateningly. Mo Lin's eyes were gloomy, and his face was pale. He knew Su Jianshi's strength. She was at least the #1 prodigy. Although he was also the #1 prodigy, he was still a little weak. Not to mention, Yiguchen was eyeing him like a tiger watching its prey. Fine. Dugoubai, you're lucky to be hiding behind a woman. Next time if you make me... Before Mo Lin could finish his sentence, Su Jianshi's sword came stabbing at him. Mo Lin hurriedly used the cloud roaming steps and retreated. You're full of nonsense. Su Jianshi snorted and turned to look at Yiguchen. Then, she glanced at the embarrassed Princess Yuanyang. For some reason, Su Jianshi felt that Princess Yuanyang was an eyesore. She snorted and ignored Yiguchen. She swayed her waist and left. Yiguchen couldn't understand the girl's thoughts. He took out the beast cores of the 2 Class 4 demonic beasts and followed behind Su Jianshi. Princess Yuanyang didn't follow them shamelessly. In the dense forest, mottled light shone down, giving the dark forest a little bit of warmth. A young man and a young woman walked one after the other. Su Jianshi, thank you for your help this time, Yiguchen said. Su Jianshi sullenly walked in front and kicked the stones on the ground from time to time. After a while, she said with a bit of anger, with your true strength, even if you were injured, it shouldn't have been too difficult to deal with Mo Lin, but you still helped. Yiguchen faintly smiled. Do you like to be the hero saving the damsel in distress? I saw how Princess Yuanyang looked at you with admiration. Su Jianshi puffed up her cheeks and looked around. Yiguchen was speechless. He only wanted the beast cores of the Class 4 demonic beasts. He had lived 2 lives and didn't get close to women. Naturally, he didn't know the thoughts of a woman. Shaking his head, Yiguchen wisely remained silent. Sigh, calling you a silly boy is not wrong. Su Jianshi held her forehead and sighed. She gently sighed and said, forget it, let's not talk about this for now. Do you know anything about the Myriad Beasts blood pool? Myriad Beasts blood pool? Yiguchen revealed a puzzled expression. Su Jianshi pursed her lips and said, do you know the prodigy of the Great Desolation Mansion, Blood Hand Luochen? Yiguchen thought for a bit and remembered. There was indeed such a prodigy. Rumor has it that he cultivated a demonic cultivation method and condensed a powerful blood hand that could shake spirit rune weapons. Yiguchen asked, is this Myriad Beasts blood pool related to Luocheng? Chapter 138. That's right. Luocheng cultivates the blood Dao cultivation method and is extremely sensitive to blood qi. He accidentally discovered the traces of a rank 4 monster, Blood Demon. There must be 1,000 beasts blood pool in the Blood Demon's lair. Su Jianshi's eyes were filled with excitement as she spoke. Blood Demon? Yiguchen was slightly surprised. Blood Demon was an extremely strange monster. It had a humanoid shape, but its body was like an octopus with many blood-red tentacles. Even among rank 4 demonic beasts, blood demons were the most threatening and difficult to deal with. Yiguchen might have the ability to kill the heaven and earth demonic ape, but he had no confidence in facing a blood demon. However, what Yiguchen was most interested in wasn't the blood demon, but the 1,000 beasts blood pool. You should know that the blood demon's reproduction is extremely strange. It collects the blood essence of many monsters to form the 1,000 beasts blood pool. Then, the female blood demon will lay eggs in the pool while the male blood demon will guard outside. I vaguely heard that there are traces of a rank 5 female blood demon. Rank 5 blood demon? Yiguchen's expression changed slightly. If it was a rank 4 blood demon, they could still have some hope. However, a rank 5 monster was almost impossible. Most rank 5 monsters were in the divine soul realm and were close to the life and death threshold. With their chi refinement realm cultivation, dealing with a rank 4 monster was already their limit. A rank 5 monster was far beyond their ability. Since there's a rank 5 monster, I'm afraid there's not much hope for the 1,000 beasts blood pool, Yiguchen muttered. The 1,000 beasts blood pool was condensed from the blood essence of many monsters. If one could sit cross-legged in it and cultivate, the benefits would be indescribable. At the very least, it would allow one's cultivation to reach a higher level. Most importantly, the 1,000 beasts blood pool had a great effect on body tempering. Yiguchen's marrow-cleansing scripture could use the energy of the 1,000 beasts blood pool to advance further. But if there was a 5th-order demonic beast guarding it, then Yiguchen would be helpless. Su Jianshi rolled her eyes and said, "Not necessarily. Why do blood demons condense the myriad beasts blood pool? Of course, it is to reproduce. If a female blood demon lays eggs, it will consume a lot of her essence blood and strength. That's why the male blood demons are guarding outside." "How do you know so much?" Yiguchen looked at Su Jianshi in confusion. Su Jianshi giggled and reached out with her white and tender hand. There was a dragonfly-like bug on his palm, but when Yiguchen looked at it carefully, he realized that the dragonfly-like bug was made of metal, and there were faint spirit patterns flashing on it. "This is," Su Jianshi giggled and said, "I call it Little Obedient. It's a toy made by Uncle Ghost Axe in Lotus Village. To a certain extent, it's similar to the Sky Surveying Spirit Eye. However, this Little Obedient can only detect sounds and not images." Su Jianshi giggled. "Amazing. You can actually fuse spirit patterns into such a small object." Yiguchen sighed. This exquisite forging method wasn't far from the old drunkards. Yiguchen was now quite interested in Lotus Village where Su Jianshi was from. Okay, now that the news has been leaked, Luo Cheng has also gone into hiding. With his strength, I don't think he can deal with a 4th-order blood demon alone. We can use Little Obedient to track Luo Cheng's tracks. Su Jianshi slightly raised her sharp chin as if she was determined to win. Yiguchen nodded. If the situation was as Su Jianshi said, then they could really take a gamble. If they succeeded, then it would be a 4th-order beast core, a 5th-order beast core, and a myriad beasts blood pool. Such a generous bargaining chip was enough for them to take a gamble. "Little Obedient, go." Su Jianshi poured her true chi into Little Obedient. The dragonfly-like spirit pattern weapon flapped its wings and flew into the distance. In Su Jianshi's white ear, there was a small object made of metal. It was inscribed with spirit patterns that could transmit all kinds of sounds. The Black Sky Mountain range was vast and boundless. After several days of hunting, many demonic beasts had fallen at the hands of the prodigies. Many cultivators had also died in the mouths of the demonic beasts. In the dense forest, a red-robed figure was looking left and right. He was like a bloody shadow that moved quickly. Damn it. I wanted to quietly hunt for beast cores, but I didn't expect the news to be leaked. Now, not only do I not have the chance to hunt demonic beasts, but there are also many people tracking my tracks. The figure who was muttering to himself was a young man with a ferocious face. The most eye-catching part of his body was naturally his right arm. His entire arm was covered in a thick layer of blood armor that was branded with demonic patterns. It looked very strange. Damn it. If I can obtain the myriad beast blood pool, my Crimson Hand demon arm will be more complete. At that time, I won't be inferior to those top prodigies. This man with a bloody hand was naturally Luo Cheng of the Great Desolate Mansion. The cultivation technique he cultivated was a spirit-grade cultivation technique, the demonic blood-body tempering art, that he obtained by chance. At the end of this cultivation technique, his entire body would be like his right arm, turning into a crimson blood armor. However, with Luo Cheng's resources and strength, he could only refine a right arm. Moreover, it wasn't complete. However, thanks to his cultivation technique, he could sense the myriad beast blood pool in the blood demon lair. Unfortunately, with his strength, he couldn't deal with the rank 4 blood demons guarding the perimeter, let alone the rank 5 blood demons in the lair. Later on, the news was accidentally leaked, and Luo Cheng was investigated by many people. While Luo Cheng was thinking about what to do next, he didn't notice that a metallic dragonfly had quietly landed on the grass not far away. Who is it? At a certain moment, Luo Cheng's eyes suddenly lit up as he stared solemnly into the depths of the dark forest. An ordinary-looking young man in a black robe slowly walked out. "It's you, Dugubai?" Luo Cheng frowned slightly. He naturally knew that Dugubai was extremely talented. However, after the actual battle with the black puppet demon, he felt that his true strength wasn't very high. This was also the reason why Luo Cheng didn't retreat. He believed that Dugubai couldn't threaten him. Seeing that Luo Cheng didn't seem to have much of a reaction, Yiguchen smiled faintly and said, "Tell me where the blood demon lair is." "With just you?" Luo Cheng sneered. "With just me." Yiguchen nodded. With a clang, the meteorite's soft sword appeared in a flash. There was a cold light on the sword's edge. Luo Cheng frowned again. As a member of the Great Desolate Mansion, he often fought with the barbarian tribe in the Land of 5 Elements. As a result, the warriors in this mansion had very strong combat instincts. Although Luo Cheng looked down on Yiguchen in the beginning, he felt a sense of threat when Yiguchen held the meteorite's soft sword in his hand. "It's best to run." Luo Cheng narrowed his eyes. He was very cunning. He didn't choose to attack. Instead, he turned around and fled. Yiguchen smiled and rushed forward. Chapter 139. Luo Cheng's figure seemed to have turned into a bloody shadow in the dark forest. That was his movement martial art, blood illusion steps. However, Yiguchen's figure followed closely behind him like a gangrene in a tarsal bone. Yiguchen looked relaxed. He was not worried that Luo Cheng would run away. Damn it! In front of him, Luo Cheng's eyes were extremely gloomy. He knew that running away like this was not the way out. He could not shake off Yiguchen completely. "Since you are courting death, don't blame me." Luo Cheng's eyes were vicious. In an instant, he turned around quickly and extended a bloody demonic arm to attack Yiguchen. This attack was extremely sudden. If it were an ordinary person, they would not have any time to react. However, Yiguchen seemed to have expected it. He stabbed out with his meteorite soft sword at the same time. Clang! When the tip of the meteorite's soft sword stabbed into Luo Cheng's bloody arm, a metallic vibrating sound was heard. This arm? Looking at Luo Cheng's arm that was covered in blood armor, Yiguchen was also slightly surprised. Luo Cheng's bloody demonic arm was indeed something. However, he did not know that after this attack, Luo Cheng's expression changed slightly. This was because he felt a piercing pain coming from his palm. One should know that the skill he was most proud of was that his bloody demonic arm could go head-on against a spiritual inscription divine weapon without feeling any pain. However, after the exchange of blows, Luo Cheng's entire bloody arm was trembling slightly. Damn it! This kid's weapon is definitely not ordinary, Luo Cheng thought to himself. To be able to make his bloody demonic arm tremble and feel a piercing pain, it was definitely a middle-grade divine weapon or above. Yiguchen did not continue to fight. He activated the Phantom Spirit inscription on the meteorite's soft sword and performed the ultimate move of the Golden Snake Sword skill, Mysterious Sword Gleam Snake. After the Phantom Spirit inscription was added, the entire meteorite's soft sword seemed to have become translucent. The sword gleam was like a mysterious snake that moved around in a tricky way. Clang, clang, clang. The sound of metal exploding rang out continuously. That was the sound of sparks bursting out when the tip of the meteor-soft sword touched Luo Cheng's arm. This brat sword attack speed is actually so fast. Luo Cheng's face was filled with shock. In the first trial, he had seen Yi Guchen's performance against the puppet. Compared to now, it was like a completely different person. Yi Guchen's lips curled into a cold smile as he slashed out with his sword again. Puchi! Luo Cheng was blasted back, and a small crack appeared on his bloody hand. This? Luo Cheng was dumbfounded. His bloody hand had always been able to withstand spirit rune divine weapons, but now, it was in danger of cracking. But what he didn't know was that Yi Guchen's meteor soft sword was a divine weapon forged 100,000 times. Its sharpness far exceeded that of ordinary divine weapons. Yi Guchen didn't delay any longer. Urging the Azura power in his body, a crimson light slowly crept towards the sword edge. Feeling the burst of blood qi, Luo Cheng's face turned slightly pale. The murderous aura that erupted from the ordinary-looking young man before him was even more intense than that of a person who had cultivated the Devil Dao cultivation method. Blood Devil's great palm print. Luo Cheng felt that his life was in danger, and the crimson genuine qi in his body gathered on his bloody hand. Thick crimson light gathered on his palm, vaguely forming a palm print. On the other side, Yi Guchen's sword vibrated as he slashed out. God-slaying sword skill, blood slaughter. Boom! A violent crimson airwave spread out, destroying the surrounding forest and cracking the ground. Puchi! A figure was blasted away, accompanied by a broken bloody arm. The arm was also covered with cracks. My blood devil arm! Luo Cheng spat out blood, and his face was extremely pale. He looked at Yi Guchen with fear in his eyes. Yi Guchen's expression was indifferent. To cultivate such a cultivation method, he must have killed many people. Yi Guchen wasn't a chivalrous swordsman like Su Jianshi. He didn't deal with Luo Cheng to punish evil, but purely for the myriad beasts' blood pool. Dugubai, just you wait? Luo Cheng's eyes were filled with hatred. At this moment, another figure quietly descended like a fairy. Su Jianshi? Luo Cheng's face turned ashen when he saw Su Jianshi. He knew that he had fallen into the hands of these two people. He couldn't even deal with Yi Guchen, let alone Su Jianshi, who was comparable to the #1 Sky Pride. Tell us honestly where the blood demon lair is, and we might spare your life. Otherwise, Su Jianshi narrowed her eyes, reflecting a dangerous light. Luo Cheng lowered his head, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He then raised his head, gritted his teeth, and nodded. Under Luo Cheng's lead, Yi Guchen and Su Jianshi arrived at a hidden basin. This basin was extremely small, and it was like a hidden bowl in the Black Sky mountain range. Unlike the other parts of the mountain range, the vegetation here seemed to be covered with a faint layer of blood. The blood demon lair is in the center of the basin, Luo Cheng said in a low voice. Yi Guchen and Su Jianshi looked over and saw a cave in the center of the basin under the cover of vines and trees. The ground outside the cave was covered in blood. The blood stains were like the traces left behind by a dead prey that had been dragged. It's here, Luo Cheng said and sat on the ground. In his mind, it was impossible for him to face a rank 4 blood demon alone. He would definitely need 2 people to take action. If Su Jianshi and Yi Guchen attacked together, he would have a chance to escape. However, imagination was beautiful, reality was cruel. Su Jianshi pouted and said, "Silly boy, can you kill a rank 4 blood demon alone? I'll keep an eye on this guy to prevent him from playing any tricks." Sure. Yi Guchen nodded. "Heh, do you think a blood demon is an ordinary rank 4 monster?" Luo Cheng sneered when he heard Yi Guchen's words. Yi Guchen didn't say anything and directly approached the cave. Before he reached the entrance of the cave, Yi Guchen felt a strong and nauseating smell of blood coming at him. It seems that this is the blood demon's lair, Yi Guchen thought to himself. Luo Cheng wasn't playing any tricks, but they couldn't rule out the possibility that Luo Cheng wanted to use the blood demon to kill them. However, Yi Guchen didn't care. A blood shadow suddenly flew out from the pitch-black cave. Yi Guchen's eyes turned cold. The meteorite's soft sword almost instinctively clashed with the blood shadow. However, To Yiguchen's surprise, the blood shadow was actually a blood-colored tentacle that wrapped around the sword. A blood-colored humanoid monster slowly moved out of the cave. Its body was like blood-red mucus, and its many blood-colored tentacles swayed. This was a rank 4 monster, the Blood Demon. Facing such a troublesome blood demon, Yiguchen wasn't afraid at all, because he had a way to restrain the blood demon. Boom! Scarlet flames with a tinge of dark blue surged out from Yiguchen's hand and spread toward the meteorite's soft sword. The blood-colored tentacle wrapped around the sword was instantly burned to the point of emitting white smoke. Chapter 140. The heavenly sun Xianming fire had a restraining effect on ordinary demonic beasts. For the blood demon, whose body was mostly made of blood, the heavenly sun flame was a power that greatly restrained it. Therefore, when Yiguchen displayed the heavenly sun Xianming fire, the rank 4 blood demon let out an ear-piercing shriek as if it had encountered a formidable enemy. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. 3 blood-colored tentacles flew over like life-reaping blood shadows, emitting a whooshing sound as they tore through the air. On the edge of Yiguchen's sword, a heavenly sun flame blazed, emitting a power of extreme heat and extreme cold. When the sword collided with the blood-colored tentacles, those thorny tentacles began to sizzle and melt in the face of the heavenly sun Xianming fire. The blood demon's most powerful move was its poisonous tentacles. Whether it was a demonic beast or a human cultivator, once entangled, it would be difficult for them to break free and they would eventually die from the poison. However, the heavenly sun flame was the bane of the blood demon. Therefore, the blood demon's tentacles posed no threat to Yiguchen. On the edge of the meteorite's soft sword, the Qi-gathering spirit rune emitted a dazzling brilliance as vigorous true Qi gathered in the spirit rune. At the same time, Yiguchen poured the Azura power in his body into the meteorite's soft sword. In an instant, the entire sword was covered in a layer of blood-colored brilliance. God-slaying sword art, sanguine slaughter. The sword pierced straight at the blood demon. The blood-colored tentacles were directly torn apart by the sharp, blood-colored sword ray. Puchi! There was a dull sound as if the sword had pierced into a gel. Yiguchen was slightly surprised. Although the meteorite's soft sword had pierced through the blood demon's body, it didn't seem to have suffered any fatal injuries. Courting death. In the distance, Luo Cheng, who was under Su Jianchu's surveillance, sneered disdainfully. If the blood demon was so easy to deal with, he would have made his move long ago. Why would he delay until now? However, just as Luo Cheng was mocking Yiguchen for overestimating himself, the blood demon in the distance suddenly let out a painful cry. Luo Cheng's eyes widened, and his face was filled with shock. The meteorite's soft sword that had pierced into the blood demon's body suddenly erupted with an intense heavenly sun profound nether fire. The raging flames enveloped the entire blood demon. The blood on the surface of the blood demon's body was being consumed at a rapid rate, and its entire body shrunk in an instant. On the other side, Su Jianchu also looked at Yiguchen with a strange gaze. Yiguchen had never revealed his worldly flame before, so even Su Jianchu didn't know that he had such a method. Although the heaven and earth unique flames were not as rare as the immemorial famed swords, it was still a rare opportunity. Right now, the rank 4 blood demon was burning with heavenly sun Xianming fire. When Yiguchen pulled back his sword, the blood demon's wound actually squirmed rapidly, trying to heal itself. Yiguchen's heart trembled slightly. If he didn't have the special flames of heaven and earth, he would have to spend a lot of effort to deal with the blood demon. But now, the blood demon was being burned by the special flames. It screamed and turned around, wanting to return to its nest. There's a blood demon core in the blood demon's body. Take it out and it'll die for sure, Su Jianchu shouted from afar. Yiguchen nodded slightly, and the sword radiance with the strange fire appeared again. Puchi! A series of muffled sounds rang out as the blood demon's tentacles were all cut off by Yiguchen. Its body was also covered in crisscrossing wounds. Found it? Yiguchen focused his gaze on the blood demon's chest. A blood-red blood demon core was embedded in the wound. He stabbed out with the meteorite's soft sword and cleverly stabbed into the blood demon core. With a flick, he extracted the blood-red blood demon core. After losing its demon core, the level 4 blood demon let out an extremely ear-splitting shriek before it was reduced to a puddle of black, stinky blood in a cluster of flames. "Silly boy, you did well." Su Jianshir's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled happily. On the other hand, Luo Cheng's face was ashen. He had obediently brought Yi Guchen and the others here because he wanted to save his life and also because he wanted to use the blood demon to kill the two of them. However, he didn't expect Yi Guchen to possess a special flame that could restrain the blood demon. This was equivalent to helping Yi Guchen and the others. In addition, Yi Guchen had severed his blood hand demon arm, so he naturally hated Yi Guchen. What should we do next? There might be a rank 5 female blood demon inside, Su Jianshir said with a frown. Then let me go in and take a look. If it's really as you said and the blood demon is laying eggs, I might be able to deal with it, Yi Guchen said casually. Can you really do it? Let me go with you, Su Jianshir said worriedly. Although she believed in Yi Guchen's strength, a level 5 blood demon was definitely stronger than a level 4 blood demon, even if its strength was greatly reduced after laying eggs. Stay here and watch this guy. If I can't defeat it, I'll escape, Yi Guchen said. Su Jianshir didn't insist. Yi Guchen actually wanted to test his true strength. Ever since he participated in the 10 prefectures elite gathering, he had never used his full strength. He also wanted to know if his current strength was comparable to a rank 5 blood demon. Yi Guchen walked into the blood demon's lair alone. Luo Qing sneered. Previously, Yi Guchen had killed a rank 4 blood demon, which was beyond his expectations. However, a rank 5 blood demon was far stronger than a rank 4 blood demon. Although Yi Guchen possessed a special flame, Luo Qing didn't think it would be so easy. Dugubai, it's best if you die inside, Luo Qing thought to himself with a ruthless look in his eyes. Inside the blood demon's lair, there was a deep passageway that led to the depths. The passageway was filled with the skeletons of demonic beasts and human warriors. There was also a strong smell of blood coming from the depths of the lair. Yi Guchen could vaguely sense a fiendish aura that made him apprehensive. As Yi Guchen went deeper, he entered a narrow stone cave. There was a completely different world inside. Many demonic beast skeletons were stacked together like walls. In the middle was a thick and viscous blood pool. While it carried a strong smell of blood, it also contained boundless life essence. In the blood pool, there were some translucent blood-colored eggs floating. Myriad beast blood pool. Yi Guchen's eyes lit up. After witnessing Xia Yubing's strength, Yi Guchen also needed to increase his strength. If he cultivated in the myriad beast blood pool, it would be enough to improve his cultivation. Moreover, the myriad beast blood pool had the effect of tempering the body. It could further improve Yi Guchen's marrow cleansing scripture. Therefore, Yi Guchen had to obtain the myriad beast blood pool. But would it be so simple? A scalp-numbing sound rang out. Then, Yi Guchen saw a blood demon that was even larger than the rank 4 blood demon from before appear in his field of vision. Rank 5 blood demon. Yi Guchen's eyes were extremely serious. Chapter 141. The blood demon in front of Yi Guchen was more than twice the size of the previous rank 4 blood demons. The biggest difference between a rank 5 blood demon and a rank 4 blood demon was that this blood demon's body was covered in blood-red scales. These blood-red scales covered the blood demon's body like a suit of blood-red armor. And this rank 5 blood demon had dozens of blood-red tentacles on its body. Each tentacle was covered with sharp thorns. If an ordinary martial artist were to touch them, they would die without a doubt. As expected of a rank 5 demonic beast, Yi Guchen gripped the meteorite's soft sword and frowned. The demonic chi emitted by this rank 5 blood demon was comparable to the peak of the divine soul realm. It was even close to a life and death threshold expert. But what caught Yi Guchen's attention was that although the blood demon's aura was strong, it was very weak. It gave people the feeling that it was strong on the outside but weak on the inside. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the blood-red eggs floating in the 10,000 beast blood pool and understood. This blood demon must have already laid eggs. That was why it had lost so much of its blood essence and strength. Let me see how strong a rank 5 demonic beast is. Yiguchen's eyes flashed with a cold light. After entering the elite meeting, he had not used his full strength. Now, he finally had the chance to display his full strength. He also wanted to know what the difference was between him and a rank 5 blood demon. Facing the blood demon, Yiguchen did not dare to hold back. The origin ring on his finger flashed and the calamity dust sword appeared again. Yiguchen used 2 swords at the beginning of the fight. His left hand used the killing move of the Aurora Quick Sword, Dawn Break. His right hand used the ultimate move of the moon-piercing sword art, See Rising Bright Moon. 2 incomparably sharp sword lights, together with the heavenly sun dark fire, stabbed toward the blood demon. Clang. 2 ear-piercing sounds were heard. The Calamity Dust Sword and the Meteorite Soft Sword stabbed the blood demon's blood-red scales, creating sparks. These sword lights were actually unable to destroy the blood demon's blood-red armor. Even the heavenly sun dark fire, which had always been successful, could only sizzle when it landed on the blood-red armor. What a strong defense! Yiguchen's eyes were also filled with surprise. The blood demon armor was probably even stronger than the ice fire dragon lizard's crystal armor. Swoosh! Yiguchen's attack didn't succeed, but the blood demon let out a roar. Numerous blood-colored tentacles with thorns pierced through the air and attacked him. His speed was so fast that only a series of blood-red afterimages could be seen. Yiguchen's gaze turned cold. His pupils were instantly covered by a bloody glow. Eye of the Azura, activate. The moment the Eye of Azura was activated, Yiguchen saw that the blood-red tentacles suddenly slowed down, as if it were moving in slow motion. Of course, this was relative. It was just that Yiguchen's eyesight had become sharper. He used the Willow Kaken wind movement technique, and his figure flashed between the blood-colored tentacles. He stabbed out with his sword again, bringing with it an extremely sharp fluctuation. His figure turned into a pitch-black afterimage. Shadow Assassin Swordsmanship, Vanishing Shadow. Clang. At the same time, 3 blood-colored tentacles pierced through the air and crashed down on Yiguchen with a force of 10,000 pounds. Protection of all heaven. Yiguchen gritted his teeth. Genuine chi surged out of his golden sea of chi, forming a guardian Vajra around his body. As Yiguchen's strength increased, the protection of all heaven's defensive power also increased significantly. However, the one attacking Yiguchen was a 5th-rank blood demon whose strength was close to the life and death threshold. Boom! Boom! 2 blood-colored tentacles smashed into the guardian Vajra, shattering it. Then, the 3rd tentacle accurately struck Yiguchen's back. Puchi! Yiguchen's face suddenly flushed red, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. On his back, a glaring bright red wound appeared, and purple venom was spreading from it. Yiguchen's heart trembled. He activated the heavenly sun Xianming fire to burn the venom and flesh. White smoke rose from the wound. Yiguchen took the opportunity to retreat. How troublesome! Yiguchen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with the back of his hand, his eyes cold. If it weren't for his perfect body and the protection of all heaven's defense, he would have died. If it weren't for the fact that the 5th-rank blood demon wasn't at its peak, he would have died. Yiguchen wouldn't have been able to survive this attack. Again! Yiguchen vibrated his chi and blood. His perfect body had a strong recovery ability, and the charred wound on his back had already begun to wriggle and heal. Great Thousand Wheel. Yiguchen performed the Great Thousand Sword art, and the trajectories of his sword overlapped, forming an extremely sharp wheel of sword chi that pierced through the air toward the blood demon. Clang! Clang! The Great Thousand Wheel bombarded the blood armor on the blood demon's chest and cut into it slightly, causing cracks to spread on the surface of the blood armor. The blood demon went berserk again, and more than 10 blood-colored tentacles seemed to form a giant blood-colored net that enveloped Yiguchen. Yiguchen activated the 360 golden sword veins in his body. In an instant, the power of the sword chi on Yiguchen's 2 swords multiplied. A wisp of vicious and dense blood-red sword chi slowly rose from the 2 long swords. God-slaying sword art, blood slaughter. Yiguchen actually performed blood slaughter with 2 long swords at the same time. With the support of the Great Perfection Sword vein, the power of bloodthirst had once again skyrocketed to a terrifying level. The 2 blood slaughters tore apart the blood-colored tentacles and bombarded the same spot on the blood demon's chest. Crack, however, with a cracking sound, the incomparably tough blood armor was instantly covered in cracks and then completely shattered. The blood demon was furious. Its demonic chi soared into the sky, and many blood-colored tentacles lashed out like giant blood-colored pythons. Boom, boom, boom. Yiguchen's figure flew backward. Although he used the 2 swords to cut off some of the tentacles, some still bombarded his body. Yiguchen vomited blood continuously, and his face turned pale. On the other hand, the blood armor on the blood demon's chest shattered, revealing the soft and sticky body inside. As long as Yiguchen obtained its demonic core, he would be able to completely kill this rank 5 blood demon. Kill? Yiguchen's eyes were cold. In order to obtain the 1000 beast blood pool, he had to kill this rank 5 blood demon, even if he had to pay a price. This rank 5 blood demon seemed to have sensed the danger of death. Some blood-colored demonic patterns gradually appeared on the surface of its bright red body. Demonic beast theurgy. Yiguchen's face darkened slightly. Previously, the rank 4 demonic beast heavenly demonic ape's theurgy had cost him a lot. Although this rank 5 blood demon in front of him was not at its peak, its theurgy was obviously more terrifying. However, in order to improve his strength, Yiguchen had to kill this blood demon. Heaven-splitting sword soul, come out. Yiguchen activated the heaven-splitting sword soul in his body. Streaks of green sword soul burst out from his body, and its power shook the heavens and the earth. The blood demon's demonic chi soared into the sky. Accompanied by many blood-colored tentacles, some blood-red demonic chi chains appeared. The tip of these demonic chi chains was as sharp as the tail of a scorpion. A powerful move was about to be triggered. Chapter 142. The blood-red tentacles, accompanied by chains of demonic aura, pierced through the air. With its powerful penetrating power, it could probably even penetrate through the hardest basalt. Yiguchen activated the heaven-splitting sword soul in his body, and 1,000 heaven-splitting sword souls swept out like a flood. Of course, Yiguchen had 10,000 heaven-splitting sword souls in his body, and he had only released 10% of them. The green sword soul seemed to form a green sword chi flood, colliding with the blood demon's demonic beast superpower. Sword chi and demonic aura rampaged, exploding with a deafening sound. The entire blood demon lair was shaking violently. Boom, boom, boom. Several blood-red chains of demonic aura broke through the heaven-splitting sword souls and pierced towards Yiguchen. Yiguchen used his 2 swords to block the attack, but a strong rebounding force was transmitted to Yiguchen's arms along the edge of the swords, causing his arms to become numb. Swoosh. At this moment, a demonic aura chain pierced towards Yiguchen's chest at an extremely fast speed. Even though Yiguchen had activated the Eye of Azura, it was difficult for him to dodge. At this critical moment, the vital ring on Yiguchen's finger flashed again. In an instant, Yiguchen's body was covered with a layer of dazzling crystal armor. The entire surface of the crystal armor was flowing with the power of ice and fire, alternating between crimson and dark blue. It looked extremely strange. This was the low-grade defensive spiritual weapon that the old drunkard had refined for Yiguchen, the ice and fire dragon crystal armor. It was made from the crystal armor of the rank 4 demonic beast, the ice and fire dragon lizard. Even though its defensive power was not as good as the rank 5 blood demon's blood armor, it was not much weaker. In addition, the old drunkard had carved the strengthening and self-healing spiritual tattoos on it, so its defensive power had increased by a large margin. Clang! The attacking demonic aura chain collided with the crystal armor on Yiguchen's chest. Yiguchen felt as if he had been hit by a heavy hammer as he slammed into the rock wall behind him. He coughed out another mouthful of blood. However, compared to being pierced by the demonic chi chains, this was much better. Yiguchen was also very satisfied with the defensive power of the ice and fire dragon crystal armor. He infused his genuine qi into the strengthening spirit tattoo, and the entire surface of the ice and fire dragon crystal armor faintly glowed. It seemed to have become a little stronger. Kill. With the protection of the ice and fire dragon crystal armor, Yiguchen no longer had anything to worry about. His sword moves were fierce and domineering. Even when the crimson tentacles and demonic energy chains hit Yiguchen, they could only injure him, but not cause any fatal damage. With the continuous attacks of the 1,000 heaven-ripping sword souls, the blood demon was forced to retreat. Almost all of its blood-red tentacles were cut off. Even if it could regrow, it was not something that could be done in a short time. Just as Yiguchen was fighting fiercely with the blood demon with all his might, outside the scarlet lair, Su Jianshir's beautiful eyes were looking at the lair worriedly. However, from the vibrations coming from inside, Su Jianshir knew that Yiguchen wasn't immediately defeated. He was still able to contend with the blood demon. That silly kid really hid his strength well, Su Jianshir muttered. Luo Cheng, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, had a dark glint in his eyes. In the next moment, Luo Cheng suddenly stood up and wanted to escape. Where do you think you're going? Do you think I'm a pushover? Su Jianshir's reaction was quick. She reached out to grab Luo Cheng. However, Luo Cheng sneered. A cloud of black smoke suddenly spread out from his sleeve, emitting a pungent smell. It's poisonous. Su Jianshir hurriedly retreated. Luo Cheng used the blood illusion steps. His figure drew out a crimson afterimage. He was extremely fast as he flashed into the depths of the forest. Damn it. How dare you trick me? Su Jianshir was extremely vexed. Just as she wanted to chase after Luo Cheng, she thought of Yiguchen in the scarlet lair. After comparing the two, Su Jianshir was still worried about Yiguchen. She turned and flew into the blood demon's lair. At this moment, the battle in the blood demon's lair was coming to an end. Although the rank 5 blood demon was powerful, its strength was greatly reduced after laying eggs. At most, it was only slightly stronger than a rank 4 demonic beast. Yiguchen attacked with all his strength. He didn't hold back at all. With the protection of the ice and fire dragon crystal armor, he erupted with his greatest strength. With this, the battle naturally leaned in Yiguchen's favor. God-slaying sword art, soul demon. A dazzling crimson sword ray with a destructive force that could tear through everything slammed into the blood demon's chest. With a loud explosion, a dark red demonic core flew out. Yiguchen grabbed the rank 5 demonic core and threw a ball of heavenly sun mystic underworld fire at the blood demon's body. Boom! The blood demon's body was instantly engulfed by the heavenly sun mystic underworld fire. After Yiguchen obtained the demon pill of the 5th rank demonic beast, he seemed to have heard something. He directly stored the tribulation dust sword and the ice and fire dragon crystal armor into his origin ring. He also stored the 1,000 heaven-ripping sword souls into his body. In just a moment, Su Jianshir's delicate figure flashed in. This, after seeing the mess in the lair, Su Jianshir's eyes widened. She looked at the blood demon's body that had turned into a pool of black pus in disbelief. You killed a rank 5 blood demon? Su Jianshir was in disbelief. She stared at Yiguchen with wide eyes, looking rather adorable. After laying eggs, this blood demon's strength was greatly reduced. It's not much stronger than a rank 4 demonic beast. I barely managed to kill it. Yiguchen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He was also heavily injured. Fortunately, he had the perfect body and could recover in a few days. Amazing! I'm getting more and more curious about you. Su Jianshir sized up Yiguchen. Oh right, what about Luo Cheng? Yiguchen suddenly asked. Su Jianshir's face fell as she explained the cause and effect. Forget it, it's fine. Yiguchen didn't mind. He directly threw the 2 blood demons' demonic cores to Su Jianshir. Silly boy. Su Jianshir didn't understand. I have enough demonic cores. I'll give these 2 to you. After all, you want to establish the righteous alliance. This is a good opportunity for you to make a name for yourself. Yiguchen smiled faintly. He couldn't possibly say that he didn't want to be too eye-catching, so he gave the rank 5 demonic cores to her. Yes, that's right. You're indeed worthy of being my Vice Alliance leader. Su Jianshi naively accepted the two blood demons' demonic cores. Okay, next is the myriad beasts' blood pool. Su Jianshi's eyes lit up. Yi Guchen was also interested. He removed the blood demon's demonic eggs from the pool and burned them to ashes. We'll split the myriad beasts' blood pool, Su Jianshi said, and took out a gourd-shaped spirit tool with spirit runes flashing on its surface. A powerful suction force erupted from the bottle and absorbed a small portion of the myriad beasts' blood pool's essence blood. Yi Guchen looked at Su Jianshi in confusion. There was still more than half of the essence blood left in the pool. Su Jianshi curled her lips and said, "You killed the blood demons and gave me their demonic cores. Plus, you're so heavily injured. The essence blood in the pool is just enough for you to recover and cultivate. I'll take a small portion." When Yi Guchen heard this, he nodded his head without any hesitation. Yi Guchen said, "I've collected most of my demonic cores. I'll be cultivating in the myriad beasts' blood pool for a few days. I'll have to trouble you to protect me." Aside from recovering, the most important thing was to cultivate the marrow cleansing scripture. The indestructible diamond body was something Yi Guchen had always been pursuing. "It's fine. With me around, no one will be able to disturb your cultivation." Su Jianshi patted her chest confidently. Yi Guchen nodded and sat cross-legged in the myriad beast's blood pool. At this moment, a few hundred miles away from the blood demon's lair, Luo Cheng, who had escaped, was holding his severed arm. His eyes were filled with intense hatred. "Dugubai, Su Jianshi, just you wait. I might not be able to deal with you, but there are plenty of people who can. Let me think, if I spread the news of the rank 5 demonic cores in the myriad beast's blood pool, who will come?" Luo Cheng's eyes burned with the flames of revenge. Chapter 143. In the blood demon lair, Yi Guchen sat cross-legged in the myriad beast's blood pool. Although Su Jianshi had absorbed a portion of the blood essence, there was still more than half of it left. As time passed, Yi Guchen's injuries were mostly healed. He began to cultivate the marrow cleansing scripture. In his previous life, only one of the top 10 experts, Bodhidharma, had reached the invincible Vajra body. Therefore, it wasn't easy to cultivate it. The heavenly sun Xinming fire appeared on Yi Guchen's body. The surface of the myriad beast's blood pool sizzled and emitted white smoke. The impurities were all evaporated by the strange fire, leaving only the purest blood essence energy. Yi Guchen activated a trace of devouring power in his body. In an instant, the myriad beast's blood pool formed a blood-colored vortex with Yi Guchen as the center. Yi Guchen's aura and physical body were also growing slowly in the process of cultivation. Of course, this wasn't something that could be finished in a short time. Su Jianshi was guarding the blood demon lair. She was very bored. At this moment, a piece of news was quietly spreading in the Black Sky Mountain range. "Hey, have you heard? There's news that Su Jianshi and Dugubai found a blood demon lair and obtained 2 beast cores. One of them was a rank 5 beast core." "A rank 5 beast core? How is that possible? Even the number 1 prodigy can't kill it, right?" "Who knows? But I heard that they ambushed the blood demon while it was laying eggs." "How lucky. I heard that in addition to the rank 5 beast core, there's also a myriad beast blood pool. That's a treasure trove." Some martial artists were talking, but most of them didn't pay much attention to it. They knew that it was difficult for them to compete with Su Jianshi and the others with their strength. However, while ordinary martial artists might think this way, there were some who did not. In the forest, a beast's miserable howl could be heard. A flaming blade shadow chopped off the head of a rank 3 demonic beast, causing blood to spurt out. A burly man in obsidian armor with a flaming saber in his hand took out a monster pill from the demonic beast's body. This man was the little tyrant of the Qin clan, Qin Batian. "Su Jianshi, Dugubai, how can I let the two of you monopolize the class 5 Yao core and myriad beast blood pool? It's time to take back the humiliation from that day." Naturally, Qin Batian had also heard of this news. A cold glint shot out from his tiger-like eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled into a vicious smile. With a leap, he directly shot towards a certain direction. In another area, a white-robed, black-haired young man waved his Xianming treasure fan, and a rank 3 demonic beast fell to the ground. If I obtain the class 5 Yao core, I will definitely have a chance to compete for first place in the second stage. The myriad beast blood pool will also be beneficial to me. Last time, Dugubai made me lose face in front of Princess Yuanyang. This time I will make him pay the price. This young man was naturally the number 1 prodigy of Yuanyang Mansion, Mo Lin. At the same time, a fierce battle was erupting in another area of the mountain range. 4 cultivators at the 7th Revolution Qi refinement realm were fighting each other. Swords and sabers crisscrossed as their palms rumbled. Outside the battle, a woman in a tight red dress with a slender figure like a water snake was watching the battle with a charming smile. She had a fox-like face and a pair of seductive eyes that faintly flickered with a red light. If one were to look closely at the cultivators fighting each other, they would notice that 2 of them had eyes that were faintly glowing red. Not long after, the battle ended. The 4 cultivators were heavily injured and fell to the ground. They had almost perished together. The seductive woman in the red dress stepped forward with a smile and easily collected the origin rings of the 4 cultivators that contained their Yao cores. Sigh, what a waste of effort. But I'm a little bored. I heard that Su Jianshi and Dugubai found a blood demon lair. Not only did they obtain a class 5 Yao core, but they also obtained a myriad beast blood pool. Hee, how can I not take advantage of such an opportunity? The seductive woman laughed endlessly. She twisted her waist and turned into a red shadow as she swept away. Anyone who was slightly familiar with this seductive woman would know that she was the number 1 prodigy of the state capital of Qing, Jihongmei. As the news spread, the entire Black Sky Mountain range seemed to have a vague feeling that a storm was brewing. The one who spread the news was Luo Cheng, who had narrowly escaped death. Heh, you stole my opportunity and severed my blood-hand demon arm Dugubai, Su Jianshi, Luo Cheng, won't let you have peace. I'll let you fight. In the end, I'll be the one who benefits. In a hidden canopy, Luo Cheng, who only had 1 arm left, looked in the direction of the blood demon lair from afar. He let out a carefree smile as if he was taking revenge. At this moment, outside the blood demon lair, Su Jianshi was bored to death. After obtaining 2 blood demon cores, Su Jianshi had no intention of killing any more Yao beasts. How many more days is this silly kid going to cultivate in seclusion? Su Jianshi was a little frustrated. She grabbed a wildflower by the lair and plucked its petals out of boredom. Although the wait was a little long, Su Jianshi didn't disturb Yiguchen. Instead, she guarded outside the lair. At this moment, Su Jianshi seemed to have sensed something. She threw away the petals and stood up. Her beautiful eyes stared into the distance. A figure slowly walked out from the dense vines in the distance. When the figure walked closer, Su Jianshi's expression changed slightly. "It's you, evil tyrant." That figure was none other than Qin Badian. Qin Baishan's eyes lit up when he saw Su Jianshi again. Although Dugubai and Su Jianshi had grudges with him, Qin Badian still coveted Su Jianshi more than he hated her. "Ha, little girl, we meet again." Qin Badian laughed. "Evil tyrant, how did you know about this place? Could it be?" Su Jianshi had just opened her mouth when she realized something. She gritted her teeth and stomped her feet. Luo Cheng, that bastard? Su Jianshi was smart. How could she not understand the cause and effect? If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have held back. Su Jianshi was a little regretful. After all, she was still a pure and kind girl. It was difficult for her to casually kill someone. Yiguchen didn't care about killing Luo Cheng, so Su Jianshi didn't make a move. She didn't expect to attract so much trouble. "Hi, it's really here." However, before Su Jianshi could come up with a plan, another sinister voice sounded. "It's you?" Su Jianshi's expression changed again when she saw who it was. It was Mo Lin, who she had a grudge with not long ago. I didn't expect this place to be so lively. Am I late?" A bone-numbing voice suddenly sounded. Immediately, a red figure, accompanied by a wave of fragrant wind, landed in this place. Su Jianshir's expression turned even uglier. She bit her lips and clenched her fists. Chapter 144. The red figure landed on the ground. It was a seductive beauty. It's you, the number one prodigy of the state of Qing, demoness Ji Hongmei. Mo Lin's expression changed. Mo Lin and Qin Baishan's hearts skipped a beat when they saw Ji Hongmei. Ji Hongmei was the true number one prodigy and had reached the 9th refinement stage. Rumor had it that Ji Hongmei was called the demoness because she was proficient in illusions. She could unknowingly make people fall for her tricks. Although Mo Lin was also the number one prodigy of the Yuanyang prefecture, he was weaker than the other prodigies. As for Qin Badian, he was about the same as Mo Lin. Although they were wary of Ji Hongmei, they weren't afraid of her. This place is so lively. Are the two of you here to seek opportunities? Ji Hongmei's voice was so soft that it could make one's heart itch. Mo Lin and Qin Badian felt their bones going soft. However, they were still prodigies after all and immediately regained their senses. Heh, isn't it too early to talk about fortune? Don't you see someone blocking the way? Perhaps Dugubai has already begun refining the myriad beast blood pool in his lair, Molin said in a gloomy tone. Ji Hongmei looked at Su Jianshir with her enchanting eyes. Obviously, they had to get past Su Jianshir if they wanted to obtain an opportunity. Little sister Su Jianshir, I've long heard of your name. You're a dark horse that's comparable to the number one prodigy. You're indeed extraordinary. Ji Hongmei smiled seductively. What do you want? If you leave now, I can pretend that I didn't see you. Su Jianshir gritted her teeth and looked at the three of them. Su Jianshir, you're too naive? Mo Lin smiled coldly. Little girl, we can leave, but before we leave, we have to enter the blood demon lair to take a look. Qin Badian smiled. Obviously, Qin Badian, Mo Lin, and Ji Hongmei had a tacit understanding. They would first obtain an opportunity before deciding who would belong to whom. Su Jianshir's expression changed slightly when she heard that. Yi Guchen was still cultivating in the blood demon lair and couldn't be disturbed. Su Jianshir naturally wouldn't let them enter. If you want to enter, you'll have to get past me first. Su Jianshir clenched her teeth and a sword flashed in her hand. The green cicada sword appeared in her hand and she pointed it at Qin Baishan's group. See, as expected, that Dugawubai is definitely cultivating in the myriad beast blood pool, and the rank 5 blood demons Yao Kor might be in his possession as well. A cold light shot out from Molin's eyes. Hee, my good little sister, obediently step aside and you'll suffer less. Otherwise, if you fall into the hands of these two men, that wouldn't be pleasant. Ji Hongmei seemed to be implying something as she smiled ambiguously. When Mo Lin and Qin Badian heard this, their eyes lit up. This was especially true for Molin. He had been blinded by his hatred. Now that he looked at Su Jianshir, he found her youthful beauty to be very alluring. Feeling Qin Badian and Mo Lin's gazes crawling on her like caterpillars, Su Jianshir got goosebumps. Shameless person. Su Jianshir's mind was as pure as a piece of paper. How could she endure such humiliation? She drew her sword and stabbed at the three of them. My good little sister, you have courage. I admire you. Ji Hongmei smiled when she saw Su Jianshir charging over. Red light circulated in her eyes as if she was about to cast an illusion. Su Jianshir's sword froze. But before Ji Hongmei could rejoice, Su Jianshir regained her senses. How is this possible? You're immune to my illusion? Ji Hongmei was slightly shocked. But how could she know that Su Jianshir was someone with the enlightened sword heart? Her mind was as clear as a mirror, and it was difficult for her to be affected by illusions. This was one of the benefits of the enlightened sword heart. However, after a brief moment of surprise, Ji Hongmei did not hesitate. Instead, she waved her jade-like hand and a scarlet whip appeared. Putting illusions aside, Ji Hongmei was still the number one genius of a prefecture. She had many tricks up her sleeves. Clang! Su Jianshir's azure cicada sword clashed with Ji Hongmei's whip, causing sparks to fly. Let's go! On the other side, Mo Lin and Qin Baishan's eyes flickered. They were about to enter the blood demon nest. Don't even think about it. Su Jianshi saw this from the corner of her eyes. She immediately pulled back her sword and retreated. She stepped on the ground and moved like a graceful swan. She flashed and stood in front of Mo Lin and Qin Batian. "Little girl, are you really going to stop all three of us?" Qin Baishan's gaze sank. "I've said it before. With me here, none of you will be able to disturb the Duguwubai." Su Jianshi's gaze was firm. True energy surged from her sword. It was as if she was the only one who could stop all of them. "All right, then don't blame me for being ruthless." Qin Batian took out his blazing war saber. Flames rose from the blade and a blazing saber aura spread out. Mo Lin activated the mysterious nether treasure fan in his hand and a chilling aura spread out. Ji Hongmei also stepped forward with the aura of the 9th cycle of Qi refinement. The three geniuses attacked at the same time. In the darkness of the forest, Luo Cheng coldly looked at the scene in the distance. He was the one who had caused all of this. "Let's fight. The more miserable the fight, the better. I will be the one to obtain the fortuitous opportunity in the end." Luo Cheng laughed heartily, as if he was venting all the resentment in his heart. At this moment, a sky surveyor's spiritual eye had arrived and captured the scene of Su Jianshi and the others. The scene in the periphery of the mountain range had attracted everyone's attention. "That's Su Jianshi. She's being surrounded by three geniuses." Ji Hongmei, Qin Batian, and Mo Lin are all geniuses. Are they going to attack Su Jianshi at the same time? That's too despicable. Who knows? Maybe Su Jianshi has obtained something that will make them jealous. What a pity. Su Jianshi is a true dark horse. She's comparable to the number one genius. Will she fall in the second stage? The 7 major forces and numerous martial artists were closely watching the battle on the void light screen. Boom, boom, boom. Outside the blood demon lair, the battle had already begun. Su Jianshi alone blocked the attacks of 3 geniuses. Boom. After another attack, Su Jianshi's figure retreated, her face pale. Although her cultivation wasn't bad, it was still very difficult for her to face 3 geniuses at the same time. "Little sister, back off. I pity you." Although Ji Hongmei said that, her attacks were even more vicious. A long whip lashed at Su Jianshi like a venomous snake. Su Jianshi blocked with her sword again, but Mo Lin's Xianming fan pierced through the air. She leaned to the side to block, but Qin Baishan's flaming saber slashed at her from the other side. Su Jianshi gritted her teeth and barely dodged. A wisp of flaming saber energy tore the cloth on Su Jianshi's arm, leaving a charred scar on her jade-like arm. Su Jianshi's face turned pale. Chapter 145. Puchi. The 3 prodigies attacked at the same time. Su Jianshi's body was pushed back, and blood seeped out of her mouth. However, she had no intention of moving aside. Stubborn. Mo Lin's eyes were as cold as ice. He struck out with his palm once again. A chilly wind howled and frosty frost swept through the air. It was a spiritual martial art, 9 deadly chilling wind palm. At the same time, Qin Batian and Ji Hongmei attacked. Qin Batian infused his true qi into his flaming saber, and the saber flowed with dazzling flames. Flaming saber slash. Ji Hongmei's whip tore through the air with an ear-piercing screech. A crafty and vicious whip shadow flew toward Su Jianshi. Phoenix Spirit Sword Art, 1,000 Feathers Sky Phoenix. Su Jianshi gritted her teeth and held the green cicada sword. Countless strands of sword qi gushed out from the sword, forming an azure phoenix in the air. It attacked the 3 prodigies. Bang! An explosion shook the heavens and earth. The surrounding ground was torn apart, and a 3-meter-deep fissure appeared. As the dust settled, Su Jianshi's body flew out like a kite with a broken string. She slammed into the mountain wall next to the nest. Puchi. Su Jianshi spat out another mouthful of blood, and her face turned even paler. On the other side, the 3 heavens favorites stepped back as well. They were somewhat affected. This girl is quite capable. Qin Baishan's eyes dimmed. Even with the 3 prodigies working together, they couldn't stop Su Jianshi in a short time. If we delay, things will change. If we let Thugubai refine the myriad beast blood pool, we won't even get the leftovers, Mo Lin said coldly. Ah, that's right. Let's finish this quickly. Otherwise, all our efforts will be in vain. Ji Hongmei smiled, but there was coldness in her eyes. Her true personality wasn't as charming as she appeared on the surface. One had to know that Ji Hongmei was known as a demoness, which was enough to show her character. I already said that as long as I'm here, don't even think about entering. Su Jianshir's voice was weak, but she still forced herself to be spirited. She tightened her grip on her sword. Go! The three prodigies didn't waste any words. They just wanted to deal with Su Jianshir and enter the nest to seize the fortune. Boom! 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 Continuous explosions resounded as Su Jianshir's sword shadows clashed with the three's techniques. Sword energies, palm winds, whip shadows, and saber energies crisscrossed and exploded without end. Under the surveillance of the sky-surveying spiritual eyes, all of this was clearly displayed to the outside world. Although they despised the actions of Qin Badian and the other two, no one could deny that the rules of this stage were as such. What a pity, a dark horse. On the sword sect's side, Elder Qin he shook his head regretfully. He'd naturally noticed that Su Jianshir possessed the enlightened sword heart. Such a rare natural talent could only be chanced upon by luck. The sword sect's Talon naturally wanted to take him under his wing. It's indeed a pity, said Chu Qingqi. However, he then thought of Dugubai. I hope his luck is a little better. Chu Qingqi sighed. While the crowd outside the mountain range was feeling indignant for Su Jianshir, the battle outside the Crimson Nest had reached its most intense level. At this moment, Su Jianshir was covered in blood with wounds all over her body. One could even see the ghastly wounds on her fair thighs through her torn skirt. Good sister, you're already at the end of your rope. Do you still want to resist? Ji Hongmei smiled and looked at Su Jianshir with a mocking gaze. It was as if she was looking at a beast in a desperate situation. Qin Batian still coveted Su Jianshir, so he said, Girl, no matter how stubborn you are, you'll still lose your life. I don't want to kill someone as beautiful as you. Shameless person. Come at me if you want to kill me. I'm not afraid. Su Jianshir shouted and gathered all her true qi. A terrifying wave of sword energy was emitted from the green cicada sword. Be careful. Don't give her any chance. Mo Lin suddenly felt a sense of danger when he saw this, and he immediately shouted out. The three prodigies attacked again. Frost Palm, Scorching Sun Saber Art, Flame Dragon Strike, Nine Snake Demonic Whip. The three prodigies attacked, wanting to kill Su Jianshir in one fell swoop. At this moment, Su Jianshir's sword heart was enlightened. She held the green cicada sword with both hands and sword energy seemed to be gushing out from her eyes. Phoenix Spirit Sword Art, Myriad Feather Divine Wind. Along with Su Jianshir's shout, countless rays of sword light shot out like a myriad of sword feathers and swept through the world. When Su Jianshir used this sword technique, the elders of the 7 major factions were shocked. The ultimate move of a spirit sword art. Su Jianshir has actually cultivated a spirit sword art to greater mastery. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was shocked. Cultivating a spirit sword art to lesser mastery was the standard for a prodigy of the sword. It was even more difficult to cultivate it to greater mastery. Even prodigies would find it difficult to cultivate it to greater mastery. But Su Jianshir had succeeded. Thousands of sword feathers tore through the sky and earth, destroying the surrounding space. Boom! The two ultimate moves collided, shaking the heavens and earth. Even the sturdy blood demon nest trembled. The ground outside the nest had been torn apart and was in a complete mess. The surrounding trees had collapsed as if they had been trampled by a giant beast. Pucci. Su Jianshir's body was impacted. Her chest felt as if it had been hit by a hammer. Ji Hongmei's whip pierced through her thigh, leaving behind a bloody hole. Her body slammed heavily into the ground. Of course, Qin Batian and the others didn't have it easy either. The ultimate move of a spirit sword art was extraordinary. Mo Lin's shoulder was pierced through by the sword feathers. Blood flowed out nonstop. Qin Batyin had the obsidian armor to protect him, so he was fine. He was only hit by the sword aura and spat out blood. As for Ji Hongmei, she was slashed by the sword feathers. What made her even crazier was that her face was also covered with 3 or 4 sword scars. "Ah, my face. Su Jianshi, I'm going to kill you." Ji Hongmei's expression changed. She was no longer smiling. Her face twisted as if someone had touched her reverse scale. Ji Hongmei dashed forward and waved her whip. Every move was fatal. Su Jianshi clenched her teeth and gathered the last bit of true qi in her body to block the attack. But the whip knocked the green cicada sword aside and landed on Su Jianshi's body, leaving behind a ghastly wound. But Ji Hongmei went completely crazy. As a demoness, her charm was unparalleled and she valued her appearance the most. Yet, at this moment, there was a bloody scar on her face. This was absolutely unacceptable to her. The whip flashed and Su Jianshi couldn't block it. She was heavily injured. She spat out blood and her face was pale. Her green dress was torn in many places. Whip scars crisscrossed against her fair skin. It was a frightening sight. It was like a blue bird covered in cuts and bruises and stained with blood. Meanwhile, in the blood demon lair, Yiguchen's cultivation had also reached the final stage. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.